This program was recorded on Monday, April 20th, in the year of our Lord, 2015. The opinions expressed by the participants in the following program do not necessarily represent that of this station or its management. From the John DeVita Recording Studio, located in an undisclosed and clandestine location on the great northwest side of our fair city of Chicago, we once again are pleased to be presenting yet another edition of our monthly roundtable panel discussion show, Meet the Chicago Historians. Now here's the guy who started it all, John DeVita.
Thank you very much, Rich. From the John DeVita Broadcast Center, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Meet the Chicago Historians on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Monday, April the 20th. Today, the panel will be talking about old restaurants of Chicago and, of course, much, much more. So sit back and enjoy Meet the Chicago Historians. And now to start today's broadcast, here's our announcer, Rich Lang.
And now here's our panel moderator, Jack Red Ryan. Jack?
Also known as the Brian Williams of Windy City Hometown Network, right?
We should be on the
Where is he? Where is he?
Who is he?
President.
He can't be Brian
Well,
Williams because you're
hello.
right here.
Welcome. It is April, and today is kind of gray out, but it's still April, right? Which means it'll be May pretty soon, maybe. And
That's usually the way it
pretty
works.
soon the year will be all through. So, what's the sense?
The great day of income tax has been gone.
That's done. Yeah, that's wonderful. Someone said the best thing that could happen to our country is if everyone had to pay their taxes every month and they knew what actually was being, rather than this withholding. Tom, you know a little bit about that, don't you? What the people tell you?
It's one of the country's greatest con jobs. They take $10,000 from you and they give you $2,000 back, and you're thrilled.
Yeah.
And some people actually think that they're getting money. That,
Right. Yeah. When they get a refund, they don't think they pay taxes. Did you pay taxes? Oh no, I didn't pay any taxes last year. I got money back. I said, really? How did you manage that? I mean, you talk about a scam. If you ask the average person what they paid in taxes, federal taxes last year, well, most of the people that get a refund don't think they paid anything. No. And then other people, they don't have the slightest idea.
And you know what?
What they pay.
Well, there was an article in today's Tribune done to Tom Skilling about politicians. And the politician comes in, straightens his tie and everything else, and he comes out with the pronouncement that if it doesn't rain today, the weather will be dry. And everybody clapped, and they thought he was the greatest guy in the world.
Well, what did Mayor Richard J. Daley said? And what is it that keeps people apart? The inability to get together. That is a quote, too, by the way.
I missed that quote.
Really.
Interesting. Yeah.
Let's introduce everybody. Which way do we start this time? To the right? What?
Yeah.
We can't do any mime on this.
We're going to get the Patsy
He's
Tom here. He's a
giving you-
buddy of Red's, so he can't be all bad.
He's giving you the international sign for my mouth is stuffed with cookies.
Exactly.
Tom McKenna, retired Chicago police, lifelong friend of our moderator. I knew him as John. Now, since he's all the fame and popularity, he's switched his name to Jack. And again, one of his few friends that actually admits to.
I'm going to change my name again.
What's it going to be?
Pookie.
I like it. I like it.
It's natural, isn't it?
Right.
Next up.
Name's Al Opitz, former president of the Austin Area Community Council, graduate of Lane Tech, Wright College, IIT, and whatever else.
Who was principal when you graduated? Do you remember?
Abraham
Guy,
Lincoln.
they used to nickname him Froggy.
Froggy.
What the heck was his name?
Because we had a teacher, Don Racky, at St. Rita. His father had been principal there for a long time.
There was a
No.
Dr. Racky there, was principal of,
Yeah.
Yeah, his son taught at Rita, who was
Yeah.
also a doctor,
Yeah.
a doctor of love.
I'll tell you a little
He was
story.
a general practitioner.
Little story about Dr. Racky.
Oh, well.
All right, next.
Next, Ken Little.
Keep moving.
I spent 35 years in the fire alarm office, and then I taught 21 years at
Wright College.
Wright College.
Right?
And,
Right?
right. You're right. It was right.
Yeah.
Can I tell you my Lane? No, go ahead. We'll do the Lane story later.
Let me ask a question. How many bells did you wear out while you were in?
How many what?
How many bells did you wear out?
Bells that I didn't wear on any. One of my students wore out a few. Speaking of that, I do have one for sale. So.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Are you still teaching that course?
No,
No.
I stopped 2 years ago when I hit 80.
In 2 years.
I see you brung a couple of your students here, though, huh?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I
Yeah.
did. Yes, yeah. For
Oh, I forgot
they
it.
protect me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That guy's up next.
yeah.
I'm your announcer, Rich Lang, a longtime student of modern American and European history, and thanks to Ken Little, more and more interested in local history through his course at Wright College.
Were you a straight A student?
In history, yeah, and about everything else, no.
History.
Well, Ken never gave grades.
I never
I'm
gave
go-
grades.
Ken graded on a curve.
Yeah,
It's the girls.
it went from 0 down.
In your case, you're right.
Was that a
man.
credit course, or is that a
No.
continuing studies, or?
It was a continuing.
Yeah, although eventually it did get to be did get to be credit though, because we had remember we had a couple of younger girls in there, and they were getting credit for
Yeah.
it. I had to sign papers for them. Didn't sign. I signed your name, not mine, but yeah.
That's all right. Give me the girls' names, phone numbers.
Next up,
All right, next up, Ray Johnson, newbie to the group, former West Chicago copper, wrote a couple books on Chicago history, The Stranger Side, and former president of the, a representative of the Chicago chapter of the Association of Professional Genealogists. That was a lot in one word, and or one breath. And founder of Friends of the White City, a nonprofit group dedicated to teaching people about the Columbian Exposition in Chicago.
Oh, that's wonderful.
very good.
Yeah.
Do you know about our statue from the Columbian Exposition?
Which one?
The statue of
Columbus.
Columbus.
The one that was melted down?
The one that was...
Oh, you're talking about the
the one
fire.
that's-
Oh, from the fire. Oh, absolutely.
one that was
yeah, I
saved.
wrote, I wrote an article on that. On that.
Yeah.
On that. Yeah, the one that was saved from the
That's
cold
got to be
storage
a
building.
real collector.
Oh, that's...
It's a one of a
yes.
kind.
It's a
one of a
wonderful
kind.
statue.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, you got to see
A lot
it.
of
Oh,
people
yeah.
want that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Don't give
Their
that up,
names
by the
all
way.
end in O
Yeah,
with,
don't,
with a vowel,
Yeah.
and they want it
Yeah,
very
don't-
bad.
Yeah,
do
we'll
not
borrow
give
it
that
for just for the
Occasion.
the occasion, the walk, the talk, and then the next thing you know, I don't know whatever happened to it.
Yeah.
that was going to be the monument to the guys that were lost in that
Yeah,
fire.
it was a symbol.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But then the Oakwood said it violated their monument statutes,
Well,
so they had to go with the granite.
You know,
the
it's
statue.
like a lot of other things that that disappeared because nobody knew what they were, or
Yeah,
they were in the way.
yeah, right.
They were in the way.
That's the Chicago way.
Yeah,
A lot of things at the time seemed like nothing. You don't even bother. Like when Tom and I were in a very good active explorer post, and when things fell apart, I had a chance to take our plaque when we won that big competition at Scout Fair and other things. And I said, we're all gone now. So
Well, there's an outhouse over the Museum of Science and Industry that was present at the World's Fair. However, they say it preceded.
It did precede the World's Fair.
So I don't know what the history of it is.
It was there at the beginning when the
South
park
Building?
was first formed. It was called South Park. It wasn't called Jackson Park or Washington
Right.
Park. So Jackson, Washington, and Midway were all called the South Park. And it was
That
designed
was a
by
park
Homestead,
district, yeah.
Okay.
actually before the Chicago fire. And so at the time that the park was open, I believe that outhouse goes back to I was meeting with Julia Bacharach, who's the archivist for the Chicago Park District, and we found the outhouse on a map that went back to 1886. So it was there at least 6 or 7 years before
Hmm.
the Columbian Expo.
Now, everybody,
So,
this
so
is
there's
a
over
brick
120.
outhouse, a brick building.
It was a
right?
brick building. It
Not
looks
a-
like a little church. No, it's not an outhouse, like a little wooden outhouse.
When you say
But-
that,
Okay.
No, it
Yeah.
looks like a little church. If you go behind the Museum of Science and Industry, by behind me, like south side of the Museum of Science and Industry, as you're coming in off Science Drive, you make a left on Columbia Drive, which is basically the Park District parking lot. It looks like a little church. It's got some stained glass windows in it, and it's a limestone building, and it was an outhouse. It was a bathroom
you
before the
go.
World's Fair. It was a bathroom during the World's Fair, and it's a bathroom now. So there's over 125 years of funk, and it probably hasn't been remodeled since.
It's kind of
Oh, it's better than what it was when they first opened it because they got running water in there.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yes, sir. Next one up. Oh.
Bill Kugelman. I was 46 years in the Chicago Fire Service and retired and took over the union as president of Local 2 and also should I say ex or former? Former
Way.
Yeah.
president of the museum.
Yeah.
And I just do what I want now.
Yeah.
Enjoying retirement,
How did
and
you-
nobody better mess with our checks. I think I see a lot of heads bobbing up and down now. Yeah,
That's correct.
but to tell you the truth, now that we have a permanent place for the museum, things are coming out of the attic and the basement, and
Yeah.
people, are not throwing things just, in the
Yeah.
dumpster.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of things that people kept, and
Yeah.
now that time goes by, they wanna have them somewhere, and it's an interesting.
Chief,
Sideline.
it seems it's always the third generation. The first generation, the children, daughters, sons, Dad, I don't want to hear, Of course, most firemen don't probably talk about their fires, although and one thing about firemen, their memory is just super exact. They can tell you what steps they took, where the doors were, where the windows were, where everything was, even on fires 30 years ago. Maybe you guys have that happen in, when you've made arrests or stakeouts or, but no, it's just, and my memory's been excellent in the Chiefs too.
Well, some things, as you said, I'm sure Tom can agree, you do recall, but
Yeah.
you have to have, and I think, Ray, you have to have the ability to get rid of this out of your head,
Yes.
too. Like, remember?
Yeah.
Well,
What happened? I go, I was just a little ahead of town. You had to think about what happened, because who could store the junk, because, and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Now that we have finally have, I mean, this is the city of Chicago. We have now a fire museum, and we've worked on this for 15 years, Ken?
Yeah, 97 or so.
Now, we're trying. I've tried to get the police to get a museum. They
Yeah.
don't have one.
Well,
Years
they-
ago, they started.
Right. Who was Pecoraro's?
Joe Pecoraro.
Yeah,
Chicago Patrolmen's
yeah,
Association.
they
Yeah.
had a
They had
museum, and then when they folded, that museum folded.
Exactly.
They're on the brink of opening a national law enforcement museum in Washington, D.C. They've been getting funding for it, and I'll be heading to Washington, D.C. on May 13th. I go every year for the National Police Officers Memorial. I play with the police
I'll see you there.
bagpipe band, and they've been fundraising for years, and they're pretty close. And from what I understand, it's really going to be an interesting museum, because when you think of the history of this country and law enforcement and all the different things that they have been involved in, and all the the famous criminals and different things from 9/11 all the way back down through all the disasters that law enforcement has been involved in, and then all the famous criminals, and it really should be something to see.
But Tom,
But it's not here.
still not Chicago. It's
Yeah,
still
it's not
not
here.
here.
Well, Chicago, though, is a little more interesting.
Yeah,
because of
and
corruption
Chicago,
and
we've
all
got
of it.
we've got probably half of that. There is a museum, quite a good museum down at in Florida, at the police memorial down there. They got a nice museum going. But this is Chicago, and we should have something here.
I don't know
and,
how many
agree.
people, when I give talks on Chicago history, I don't know how many people, especially when I'm talking about genealogy and family history, people bring me things. Oh my, because I found out I was a cop, so they bring the memorabilia from way back, the old stars, the articles and stuff that they're involved in. So there's a lot of people out there with a lot of memory, with a lot of memory. It would be a great.
Yeah.
it would be
There's
great
a
to have
guy
it.
in it would be Des Plaines, Illinois. He's on Bussey Road, and I can't think of his name right now.
Are you talking about the ex-mechanic?
Copper. No,
Oh,
not Dennis.
not
Right
Dennis.
near Dennis
Oh,
is
okay.
Denny G's. Same side of the road. He's an ex-copper, and Chicago
Former.
and
Recovering.
his basement. I tell you what, when I went down there, he did some work for me. His retirement job now is collecting and renting out police, fire, and sports memorabilia, all kinds of sports jackets and helmets and coats. He has four mannequins dressed as Chicago police all through the years.
Yeah, where
the different
Didn't they
uniforms.
used to have those at 11th and State? Or, I know they had them somewhere.
Well, this guy has got them, and I tell you, I could have spent, and he's got all fire.
Yeah.
Because in
All
the St.
sports.
in the
What
St.
a-
Jude,
what a great
the
guy.
St. Jude March every year, they used to have guys. I don't know if you remember, John. They used to have guys dressed wearing those uniforms.
Mhm. Well, this guy is, if anybody, I mean, it's a small museum in
Yeah.
the basement.
Sure.
It really
Yeah.
is. Frank
Yeah.
McMenamin is
Yeah.
a good friend of his,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
and I can't think of his name right now, but that's the kind of thing. If the Chicago police would get a building somewhere.
Gee, Town Hall would have been great, wouldn't it? Right
Well,
there?
no, Town Hall. Klein asked if one of his people could talk to me about a museum, and that's what they were talking about. Town Hall.
Yeah.
I said no. That the property would be too expensive. Nobody's going to give it up. Well, I think I was right there. They put in some kind of a, I don't know, hotel or motel.
Massage parlor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There's always Gale Street
it's Gale Street. What?
police station.
You mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
mean
Oh,
the old
what about
firehouse?
the old Marquette Station?
No, that
Right,
that right now is the
Cook
Secretary
County
of State has it there.
Secretary of State
Yeah.
has got that, and
Firehouse
Oh, do they?
yeah.
would be better because it's
Well,
two
there's a
floors.
firehouse
Yeah.
right around the corner from there.
Yeah.
But it's got
that's
to be,
vacant.
the
That's
old
vacant
nine. There was some young patrolman that had this same idea, and at the 9th District, when it was over next to the firehouse,
Yeah.
he had set up some stuff there. Do
And
you
I
see
thought
that,
that's,
Ken?
yeah, and we helped them.
Yeah.
We did genealogy, and then
And but then they changed, and
I don't
I
know
don't know
what
happened, and
Yeah.
it's close.
Yeah.
It's close.
Yeah.
And Chicago should, like I say, they should have it. My God, this is the city of Chicago, man.
And
We
it's-
celebrate burning the town down.
Yeah.
We got a day that we celebrate that. Let's celebrate the day that
Yeah.
Dillinger got it, or
Yeah.
what?
Which,
Whatever.
That was my birthday, July 22.
No, not the same
No,
year.
that was a
Not the
few
same
years
year.
before that, though.
yeah.
Your
The
birthday
cops
was?
who were killed at the Haymarket riots.
And I,
Yeah.
Jack
that was
Ryan,
another
your
story altogether. There's
chairman
a lot
and
of
host,
corruption in
and
that one.
I am a retired police officer, also like Tom, and kind of involved. This is one of the most interesting things I do these days, and has been doing it. And it's all, we all owe this to WJJG, John's station, which would belong to Joe Gentile, and the show used to go out live once a month, like we do now. We all, Ken Little and Bill Kugelman, are charter members.
Cop talk.
I'm talking about this.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
in this,
Yeah, I mean, Cop Talk was the one everyone was
yeah.
like the flagship of the station, wouldn't you say?
Mhm. Yeah.
But and Thank you, Joe Gentile. That's why we're all here today. Anywho, a few things on what we were calling recent history, also known as current events. Here's a flash, a news flash. It's now spring. Really and truly.
I saw Robin.
Yeah, I saw a couple of them.
She was pretty nice too.
Yeah.
Saw a cardinal.
Yeah.
We just lost a
We just
cardinal.
lost the card.
Trees are starting to
Well,
bloom.
this one was still flying around.
The forsythia are in bloom.
Can you spell that?
Let me think.
And not to mention your spring bulbs, your crocuses
Yeah.
and your daffodils and your
Oh,
hyacinths.
crocus are gone
coming.
already. The
We've had a lot of
tulips are up.
daffodils.
Crocus snowdrops are no more.
Yeah, the crocus is gone already.
Oh yeah, that's, I know.
What
Some
is
of those
it?
will push
It's
up
a-
right through the snow and
So
bloom.
the cherry blossoms are out now or something.
Yeah, they're already
Magnolia.
falling off the
Yeah,
trees.
yeah, they right already. Yeah, yeah.
The northern magnolia is blooming. They
Be
got the
careful of the skunks.
They're always blooming.
Oh man, they are all over the place,
big-
and
You don't like flowers.
I got some stories about them. But
Do you have them over where you live?
my daughter had one that I had to bury,
Oh, oh.
do a job on. But one of the places that I work is inundated with them, and they've been on the TV. That it's just been a good year for skunk love.
It's a wonderful year for animals in Chicago. They're slowly,
Yeah, I buried 5 mice the last couple of weeks.
yeah.
Of course, the garbage can was a good burial ground.
I was going to say, you want to hear a great story? My brother lives in Wappingers Falls, New York. Don't ask me, but it's about 80 miles north of New York City. So he goes out to the garbage can one day, and there's a big black bird laying in this yard. He's into, like a crow or something. So he says, yeah, maybe the town would like to know about it. He calls up. You know what they tell him? Will you please pick it up and put it in your refrigerator, and we'll come out and take a look at it. He says, what are you talking about? I'm not going to stick a dead bird in my refrigerator.
You do every Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Very good. I like that. So he said, you want to come out and take a look at it? It'll be in the garbage can where it belongs. And they did. They came out and take a, like, what happened to the bird?
My granddaughter discovered where the skunk was in my daughter's yard, and I shot it. I killed this thing and dumped it along the road then in a bag. And the next day, Beth, my daughter, called and said, "Dad, you got to get out here." He says, "Grace is just horrified." She said, "On what you did."
Yeah.
So I did. I went out and I explained about skunks with rabies, and it's a state law.
Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh.
These headphones are.
That's the.
Okay.
it's a state law that you must destroy a skunk.
Oh.
And yes, you didn't know that?
You must destroy one?
Am I glad you know it now, and other people know it. You must destroy them. It's a state law
Well,
because
I'll
they
just
are
throw 'em.
the
I'll
the
take a rag with
main-
some ammonia and throw it at them and then leave.
the main
Put it on,
carrier of
Tom.
rabies.
Mm.
And,
I think we got it.
Little story on the police side. I was my son worked and had a little business of removing raccoons and that, and then he'd get the babies and we'd bottle feed them and get them. We'd let them go in the woods out in the forest preserve, and once in a while I'd bring one around to the firehouse, and the guys would, these little babies, and they're very cute
They're
when they're like
cute.
that.
Yeah.
And anyway, so this police sergeant knew that he had seen me with them. So later on, I'm having lunch at the firehouse one day, and the speaker cracks, and they say, "Is the buggy in?" Yeah. Kugelman working? Yeah. Well, you're to go to so and so address and assist the police. So, and they mentioned my name. You
Yeah,
know, I thought, oh, what the heck is
Yeah,
that?
who the hell knows me?
I go over there and there's squads, you know, half a dozen squads around, and go into the crawl space. Well, it was a crawl space where you know, like go down a few stairs into the basement, but then right there you can get into the crawl space, a little underneath the porch, and here my buddy, and I'll mention his name, Sam Cazzo, was there, and a raccoon had him trapped, and he couldn't get out.
Wow.
And the guys didn't want to shoot because it was all concrete. They were afraid the shell would go around and kill somebody. So Sam calls for me, the raccoon
The
man.
raccoon, yeah. Yeah, we
The expert.
have an expert in this.
Yeah.
He's a fire chief.
And I just started laughing, and I couldn't stop laughing until I got out in the backyard with one of the young dicks, and I said, "Does anybody have anything less than a 38
Yeah.
here? You got a
taser.
22?"
Yeah.
And, he said, "No." He said, "But one of the guys at the station." So they sent for one, and they got a 22. And I said, "That's the only thing you can do." I said, "I'm not going to grab the thing," and it had already bit Sam. He was trying to get rid of it for this woman. It already bit him, and anyway, I said, "Just do that. Get everybody out of there. Make sure you get a good shot." And they shot it and killed it. And I said, "That thing has got to go to the medical examiner now, or whoever it is, to have it examined. You know, at least the head. If you want to get rid of the rest of it, all right."
Put Sam's name tag on it.
Yeah. And Sam had to go to the doctor, and he had to go through all of the shots.
Oh, really?
And Sam was no little guy either, and that was quite a story that we had to tell for all of these years now.
I got a raccoon story.
Oh, shoot!
No, this one lives.
Yeah.
They don't live through your stories, but presidential election, midnight to morning, 1968. I'm working on a wagon with Paul Nealis, now a retired judge. 35th and Rhodes. There's a Lake Meadows is right there, north 35th. And there's this development called Lawless Gardens. Dr. Lawless had these beautiful apartments right there, south of 35th. Walking down 35th at about 2 in the morning, there's a raccoon. Where'd this come from? Let me figure out. So Niels is going, "Mason, shoot him, Mason." I said, wait a minute. Ran across to the shopping center. We got one of the big waste baskets that they have like on the wall. Put that there. Chased him in it, covered it over with the one of the blankets, and put the noose, closed him, and took him to animal welfare.
Well, that was very nice.
End of story.
Yeah.
Well, we had a couple of raccoons going across the roof of my house, and they like to. We have a little deck in the back, and they decided that was a good place for their waste disposal.
Waste management.
Yeah, waste management.
Well, we called the city up, and they said, "We don't do things like that."
Yeah.
So they gave us a number, and it cost us like $100 or something like that to get rid of them. They put up a couple cages on the back porch, and the raccoon got in there. And that thing, they don't look that violent, but that cage was making a lot of racket, bouncing around on the top of the roof.
That's what my kid was doing. He was had that kind of business,
Yeah.
Johnny, before.
Yeah,
he
sure.
Went on the state police and that. And I got the place I got in Baraboo. The strain of raccoons up there is that they are blind.
Huh?
No kidding.
Yeah, I've shot several of them up there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind them being around, but they are blind, and you can just see when they walk. They wobble.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe
they
we'll have
do
one
have
anyway.
them.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen them in the last year or so. Maybe maybe we got them
Well,
all, but
This is Tom McKenna, and for everyone listening to the show, you will be pleased to know that I don't have a raccoon story.
However, I
Would
do
you
have,
like
I
to
have,
have
do have
one?
a couple of opossum stories.
Well, 3 times I've had calls of disturbance with a strange animal, and 3 times were possums.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was your girlfriend.
Yeah,
Were they playing possum?
yeah.
Not then.
That possum was funny. My son come running up to me one day. He said, "There's a monkey in a tree. A monkey in a tree." Said, "It's the middle of winter. There's no monkeys out here."
Yeah.
So I go out to the tree there.
what kind of monkey was it?
It was an opossum monkey.
Oh,
Marsupial.
Yeah.
So I grabbed it by the tail and pulled it out of the tree and was carrying it around by the tail for a while.
Yeah, they have a prehensile tail.
Yeah. So every time you wanted to crawl up in a tail, I would shake it, and it's just.
And
I
wait a
carried it
minute, wait a
around,
minute.
I left
Did
it
you
go.
did you break that tail? Because we have a break right now. Hold the story.
Hold the story.
There we go.
Oh, the story.
A hard break.
Now for a brief intermission. You've been listening to Meet the Chicago Historians, and we thank you for it.
Exhibitors Carpet Service has changed their name to Carpet Warehouse at 4300 West Montrose Avenue in Chicago. Stop in at Carpet Warehouse at 4300 West Montrose Avenue, and the phone number is area code 773-283-0100 for a great deal on all your carpets. If you need carpeting in your living room, dining room, bedroom, den, or family room, or even your outdoor patio, stop in at Carpet Warehouse, located at 4300 West Montrose Avenue, or call 773-283-0100. So remember, friends, if you need a carpet in your living room, dining room, bedroom, den, or family room, or even your outdoor patio, the place to go is Carpet Warehouse at 4300 West Montrose Avenue, or call 773-283-0100. That's Carpet Warehouse, located at 4300 West Montrose Avenue, just east of the Kennedy Expressway on the north side of the street on Montrose. And the phone number once again is 773-283-0100, or 4300 West Montrose Avenue for a great deal on.
Now back to our show.
Swings and teeter-totters.
We go back to the opossum.
Yes, you're on hold there. Back to the opossum, the only marsupial in North America.
Yeah. You sure about that?
can you spell
I mean,
that?
other than THAT, other than the kangaroos or whatever they're in the zoos. Come on, let's go. Come on, out with it.
The other one was the neighbor comes up. He says there's a big rat underneath my porch. Big rat. And I said, oh, okay. As I
Don't
go
tell 'em about my
under the
porch.
porch there, here's a opossum sort of cowering in the base in there, and we chased it out of there. And that was the end of that one. But they like to hiss at you.
Yeah, but then you go near them, they play possum. They
play
look like a
possum.
rigor mortis.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever see that?
They do
Yeah.
more hissing
Well, if you
than.
don't
No, yeah, they.
Yeah, you
you have a
get
choice. They'll either play possum. or
There's
come
a
at you
certain
with
bunch
their
of
teeth.
goats too. Then you do the same.
The feigning goats.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They just fall
They
over.
just fall over and
hilarious.
play dead. you
Yeah.
know.
Like the
Kind of like some of the employees you see places.
We had some firemen like that.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, they fall over and play
No.
dead when they see smoke and flames.
Now,
I never. I went into some. I forget what firehouse it was, and I asked the captain there. I said, "Is so and so here?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "How's he doing?" And he said, well, he's all right. He says, but don't ask me how tall he is. And I looked at him and I said, what are you talking about? He says, he's always flat on his back in bed. He says, I've never seen him stand up to say how much.
Oh, on a happy note like that.
Yeah, right.
Lest we forget now, Ray Johnson,
Yes.
our newest member. This is what, the third or fourth session, or what? Are you on?
Yeah, I still haven't been hazed in, but
Yeah.
I'm still.
You had some observations about today and the date. You emailed me.
Just because, yeah. I
Listen to
just
this,
looked
everybody.
At 420. I mean, you know,
April
for all-
20th.
For all you weed smokers out there, of course, it's Happy 420 Day, which has become kind of the de facto unofficial national holiday for those that like to partake in the green leafy substances that's now available for medicinal purposes in Illinois. And from what, 420 has gotten a pretty. I'd written an article this morning for Chicago Now about 420, but specifically about the Chicago Cubs, because today is the 99th anniversary of the first time the Cubs played on the north side in Chicago. So at the then Wegman Field, which was before before it was named Cubs Park, and then Wrigley Field.
And Wegham had been the owner of the Chicago Whales of the
Chicago
Federal
Whales
League, yeah.
Federals, the Federal League.
Federal League.
Right, exactly.
And you got the Cubs
April
in the deal.
20th, 1916, and it was their home opener at the first time they played in that park, and
And they
won.
played in-
They won they were playing Cincinnati Reds, and they won 7-6 in the
West Side
11th inning.
Pavilion before? What was it? West Side
Yeah, they were
Park?
on the west side. They were right outside. I can't remember the name of the stadium, but it was right outside of the
Cook County
the
Hospital.
Cook County Hospital,
Uh-huh.
exactly. And that's where the phrase "out for," if you're coming out, out from left field.
Mhm.
That's because that's where Dunning,
The mental
inmates,
ward was
the
in left
mental
field.
ward was in
Yeah.
left field. So
Yeah.
so.
That's where their bullpen is, too, right?
Yeah, right. So anyway, 420. Yeah. So
Yeah.
aside from, I'm not an expert in the history of weed, but from what I read, that it started out with a group of high school kids in California that used to meet after
Figures.
school at 420.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a time, not a date, and it just kind of stuck
the
out.
weed
of
used to
course.
be making great rope for a long time.
Oh,
hemp
right,
rope.
hemp rope. But,
Yeah, that was used on ships for years because it wouldn't deteriorate as fast as other materials would.
and then, of course, 420 being infamous for the Columbine shooting. That was 420, so today's the anniversary of that.
Oh.
And then Adolf Hitler's birthday. So
Oh.
not very many people named Adolf after 1941.
No.
Was he born Adolf Schicklgruber and changed his name to Hitler later, wasn't it? Is
Yeah.
that true?
Was it?
Yeah.
I wasn't.
He was not, his mother was not married. And there were stories going around that he was
How'd she have a baby, Uncle Al?
Yeah. There were stories going around that he was part Jewish. So I don't know if that's true or not, but
I heard that.
my
report.
barber's, he says he always celebrates Hitler's birthday because if it wasn't for Hitler, he wouldn't be here in Chicago.
Really?
Yeah, he left.
He
Yeah.
sort of migrated out of Austria.
Oh.
Well, that's funny because with the town he was born in, when the Anschluss took place for the Union, they took over Austria was united with Germany, with the Nazis.
Yeah, under
The
protest.
town he was born in, he had it evacuated, and they just obliterated it, including the city hall where all the records were. So there's some evidence to that,
The I believe it was Channel 11 just a few days ago had a special on the Jewish Holocaust, and they were pictures, movies, videos, whatever, of that had never been seen before. They
Yeah.
were British,
I saw
Russian.
part
Did
of
you
that.
see
Yeah.
that, Ken?
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
was, I couldn't
Yeah,
leave
you
it.
really, yeah.
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 Man, I've never seen those before at
No,
all.
no.
And it just really boggles your mind
Yeah.
what happened over there. 6 million.
So, yeah.
Well, the trouble with that number is they say 6 million, but I don't think it always included all the Jews. There was a lot of other people.
Well,
So what?
yeah,
So
I
what?
understand that.
So what?
But the priest
But
said read it.
Whether it was
Start-
10.
He started
we had
out.
3 of them.
Yeah.
He started out originally with getting rid of the people with disabilities. I guess the best way of putting it. And then
Yes,
he went to the-
retarded and mental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Jews.
then
Yeah.
then he worked his way up.
And the gays.
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, okay.
Can't tell me that
We-
that wasn't,
Well, I was
his
in
plan.
I was in Auschwitz. I visited Auschwitz.
So did I.
And,
I've been Birch's Garden. I was over there. I visited all those places.
We had 3 priests at St. Rita that were in concentration camps.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Father Beretta, Van Thienen, and Vanderbeek.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I went through a little town called Orador. I don't know if I mentioned that before.
No.
Orador sur Glane, and the whole place is fenced off, and on the entrance, at the entrance, there is a sign going up there. I'll look for it. I got the paperwork on it, like a magazine thing, and the sign mentions the Nazi leaders by name, and if they are ever come into that town, they will be murdered. In other words, and what they did was the Nazis assumed that this was a town where there were a lot of so-called liberators, and they put them all in the church.
Oh, and
The whole
burn
town.
the church down.
And they
Yeah.
burned the church down.
Liberated, you mean like underground or something?
And, yeah.
yeah, fighting.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
You know, and the church is still there. The mass grave is there, and I'm telling you, you walk through that with a group of people, and nobody is saying a thing.
No.
I remember when I was growing up and hearing about what happened in Nazi Germany to the Jews, and I remember one of their mottos, I think it was the Jewish Defense League, was never again.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, well, nothing like this could ever happen again. Well, now we are negotiating with the United States is in a treaty negotiation with a country that is vowed to wipe Israel off the face of the earth.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
And Christians.
so much for never again.
Yeah.
Well, the other one's ISIS, but the fact is that Israel didn't help the Palestinians either. They went in there and just shot them at random.
Well,
So they're not
there
very
was
nice
war
over
going on
either.
there. What about all the Christians that ISIS and
Yeah.
Well, that's also true.
how many? There were probably more Christians. There were more Christian martyrs in the 20th century than all the previous 19.
Yeah.
It looks like we're going to set a new record now. The way things are going.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is the ISIS. They killed a lot of Muslims too. You know, they just at random say, well, you're not part of our religion, so they shoot them.
Well, the two
Well-
kids was it in Iraq? They came in. 2 kids were caught watching a soccer game on television. They killed them in the middle of the square.
Why?
2 kids. Yeah, that's true.
No particular
Just
reason.
Because?
We won't declare war on them, though.
Well, they
Of
got
course, they declare war on us.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you
the
do?
Muslim religion
Doesn't have to be
is
a
sort
two-way
of.
street.
The people are sort of strange because you got the 3 groups: the Kurds, the what's the other 2? I forgot.
Sunni and Shia?
Yeah, Sunni and Shiite. They don't get along. Then you got the tribal wars going besides that. So between the 6 entities, you got a conflict going continuously over there.
This has been going on
I was
for.
going to say, it's been
centuries, I
going
know.
on for
Oh my
centuries.
God! Yeah.
You never
Since-
gonna
since-
Beginning
change
of
it.
time.
Since
It seemed-
the 6th century when Muhammad was alive.
It seems like they can all unite to hate America and Israel, though. The big devil and the little devil, right? And then uniters.
Yeah, because that's one of the few entities they can blame because they can't change. They can't change their own government, etc.
Right.
The leaders are always, who appointed the Saud family to run Saudi Arabia. They've
Himself.
been running it since '32.
Yeah.
You can't
Well, it's
change it.
primarily the English.
Well, the whole point is that, but if you're growing up now, you don't have a job, you don't have any money, and so it's easy to say, well, it's the United States' problem. They're the ones that cause the
Oh,
problems.
somebody told me that Lawrence of Arabia created a lot of the problems. They said that what happened is they formed the different countries, irrespective of the tribal affiliations. So consequently, you've got tribes split in half by the border, and it creates a problem because are not happy about it.
Well, part of the reason is any modern country developed from small kingdoms, a bunch of them like Italy, France, England, Germany, wherever, you know. This wasn't an overnight process. You had your tribes, and you can't go from a tribal situation to a modern united country, like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a process, and that's probably part of the big problem there
Yeah.
Well, it's been going on for,
for too long.
1,400 years.
Yeah.
So
The only good thing about ISIS is that they're so radical
Mhm.
that they've kind of, well, they're their own worst enemy at this point.
Some of these Arab
So not
countries are
even
now
united.
looking at
Yeah,
this.
there's no even medium.
They're siding with Israel in the
Just-
struggle.
You
yeah,
know what?
yeah.
They're just a bunch of, we call them gangbangers.
Pretty
Oh,
much.
they are gangs.
And,
Pretty much.
and thugs.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
all
much.
they
They
are.
are. They are thugs because they.
Yeah.
And there are no laws over
No.
there. They don't, they don't
Yeah.
obey the law. And
So meanwhile, our soldiers are shackled with these ridiculous rules of engagement, and
Oh,
you know.
the ones that are better is the Muslims over there. His people over there, they go in there and they should blow them up. They don't really care. They just go in there and shoot them. Where the United States goes in there and wants to capture them.
reason with them. Got to give them some jobs.
They reason with them over there with a gun and they shoot them.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's the only reason you understand that. Yeah, I mean,
know.
remember,
they think we're weak because we want to reason with them.
we remember how shocked people were when Rumsfeld, what's the first name again?
Donald.
Donald, yeah, I was going to say David. That's his brother. Donald Rumsfeld. It was a good time Rumsfeld, right?
Good.
Donald Goodtime Rumsfeld. Anyway, he was something about what was going on at the time, and our troops will engage here and so and so and so and so. And then one reporter says, "And what will they do then?" He says, "They'll kill them." We were shocked that he would say that. You know, what does an army do?
Yeah.
Breaks people or breaks things and hurts people. You know.
blows things up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's what they're trained for.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
They go in there and they shoot. It's just like the cops. They go in there and they're trained to shoot,
All the time.
to kill.
The whole military. That's
Yeah, it's a military. It's a
Military.
subdivision.
You have one rule.
Well, police is not military.
Yeah, it's not.
No, but I'm talking
Yeah,
about
well,
everybody
I think you
that's,
do.
whether you're,
Yeah.
Army,
I like-
Navy, Air Force. You're
I
in
like
there
the
to
story
kill.
about this kid that was just come out of the military, and he's a young guy.
Cincinnati?
Couple of places. Was it Cincinnati?
I think it is just a new story.
And the guy wanted him.
He wanted to
He
do-
just got through killing a couple of people.
He wanted to be killed by the police.
He wanted-
Suicide by cop. They call
Yes,
it, you know?
and the copper just would not do it.
Yeah.
You know, and
That's suicide by proxy.
You
Yeah.
see it, but not as much as the other stories that you see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's on TV.
But
It was
the
on
kid,
TV.
it sounded good. Sounded
It was
good,
on
the
TV.
kid. I know it, but you don't see it as much as the others.
Well, supposedly there's 22 military or former military suicides a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
Oh,
really,
yeah.
I
that
just
is
read
really
that,
a
yeah.
sad
Yeah.
statistic.
Isn't that
So,
sad?
you know,
Well,
one of the
they
last
catch
times I was in Washington, we were having lunch, and there was a couple of FBI guys there, and the one guy gets a call, and it was he had to get going from Washington. He had to go to California because one of their agents just killed himself,
Yeah.
and he had to go for there, and we talked about it, and yeah, you're right, Tom. There's a lot of suicide, and you know what? We just buried one of our people too, firemen, and we have a lot of there too.
That's
Well,
another.
there's a lot of suicides out there that go unreported as suicides because
They-
single car accidents are one of the main ones. And I was talking to a copper one time. Was for some reason or other, he just got a call over the radio. Somebody blew a head off with a shotgun. And,
They don't report them anymore. It might come out a month later. But I was going to say, the chief was talking. We never had a fireman ever commit. Well, seldom ever commit. Once every 10 years.
Exactly.
They've been killing each other, and then because
But now we
now they're
had an
they're
influx,
starting-
such as the police.
and younger guys,
Yeah.
guys 45 years old, leaves
Yeah.
a wife and 2
Yeah.
kids, goes out and hangs himself. How bad can it be?
I know that I was just going to ask you. I know alcoholism, divorce, and suicide are a lot higher among the police. Is it higher now? The fire
Exactly.
guys too. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
The fire guys. Listen to me. The
Yeah,
firemen.
I
or
remember
women.
Firemen.
You know what? You see in Chicago, we have our own style hydrant, fire hydrant, but now we have pink ones. See the pink fire hydrants
Oh, yeah, no,
out
I
there?
haven't seen them.
What's
And
that?
they're put there because we have women in the fire department, so it's the fire hydrants are for them to use.
Oh, jeez.
Does it matter to the dogs?
Female dogs.
Female.
You know, talking about
Bitches.
suicide, you know who occupation who has, I think it may be the highest now, it was right up there, dentists.
Dentist.
You wonder
It's
why?
hard to believe.
Are a lot of them like failed surgeons, you think, or something like that?
Well, the other thing is you go over to, well, it used to be Our Lady Resurrection Hospital there, and all the handles are taken off the windows.
Oh, people jumping.
Well, that's interesting.
Or hanging
Actually,
themselves
once somebody
over the-
was in there, and they jumped out the window. It's hard. You could take a look at it. There are all the
Nuts.
yeah. Well, you know, they're the
But
candidate.
you're right, Tom. Dentists, for what they charge, why, it may not be, you know,
But
a suicide. It may be homicide.
But the fact of the matter is that it depends on where you take the statistics from. The highest suicide, because not all suicides are reported.
Oh, right. There's a stigma behind it, and I think the problem is that there's a stigma behind what people would consider mental illness and PTSD, or post-traumatic stress, isn't a very manly thing to admit to. In other words, especially in the especially among cops and firemen. I mean, you talk about a macho group of
military.
guys and
Yeah.
military.
In military.
And so the minute it's like a form of people feel weak, and I can speak from experience because I was involved in a suicide by cop, and had to shoot and kill a guy who was coming at me with a knife because he wanted to die, and I didn't expect any negative ramifications. I mean, it was a good shoot. I mean, not that I'm don't feel for the guy, but it was pretty much open and shut. There was a 2-week investigation. It wasn't until about 3 months later that I started having effects from it, which I didn't
Yeah.
expect.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what was going on.
It's suicide by proxy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. And a lot of these guys that are coming back now from Afghanistan and all over the place now, they're going to need a lot of help. And the VA, what's been going on with them recently, I mean, I don't know if they're going to get the help.
We had bosses in the fire department that, if you were out of uniform, if you had white socks on, if you had a white T-shirt on, and if you had a little long hair, and they'd be continually, complaining about these guys and complaining. Well, finally, I had a couple of guys, and they just came back from Vietnam, and they saw all that crap over there.
Yeah.
They saw beheadings and
Yeah.
burnings and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't forget that stuff.
And I
No.
just, yeah.
Ingrained.
And these guys, these bosses, most of them were probably, anywhere near being a Boy Scout
Yeah.
than anything being in the service and that. And some of them I'd say, it says, hey, you realize what the hell this kid has
Yeah. What
been
he's seen, what
through
he's
and
been
what
through.
he's seen, and you're worried about
Well,
Yeah.
freaking white socks on?
Yeah.
Come
right.
on,
Well, the other thing goes on because of the new wars here now in Afghanistan and stuff like that. The old wars, it was you had a rest period in between. Afghanistan is continuous. You're always high alert.
Plus, you're
it's up-
taking military guys and
Yeah.
trying to turn them into policemen, which is not what they are.
Yeah.
That's not what they're trying to do. So you have them patrolling as though they're police officers, but all they are non-electrical pop-up targets, and they can't. They're just walking around getting shot at and getting blown up. There's no one to shoot back at because. I mean,
Right.
there are, but you have a bunch of women and children. It'd be like walking through Chicago, just waiting to get shot at, but yet worried about returning fire because of the way it would look.
One guy,
and that's a sure thing.
one guy described it as we have tougher rules of engagement than a state trooper.
Yeah.
You can't be sending people in harm's way and doing that to them.
No.
Well, the other thing was going back to the Chicago State Hospital, or otherwise known as Dunning. They closed it up in the 60s. The people there, they said, well, they had controlled medicine, so they could control their illnesses and stuff like that. However, 2 things were forgotten. One, got to make sure that people took the medicines. And second is they be able to get hold of the medicines. Now, the problem was that 50% of the people on the street are mental problems. You know, there's a lifestyle out there too. There was an article I read
You
the
mean
other day.
the so-called homeless, Al?
Yeah, there's
Yeah, I'd say that's the number one thing. Yeah.
yeah. Well,
yeah.
you know, but there's
You
out
can't
there
help
that
'em.
they go. Some of these panhandlers are making $20 an hour, and they don't pay taxes, and they don't pay anything else. It's their lifestyle.
Well, there's a big difference between the true homeless and the ones that you see holding the cardboard signs at 290 on
Yeah.
every exit ramp.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they've done multiple exposés. The news had followed these guys around. You know, if you remember Walter Jacobson, he followed these guys around
Yeah.
just to see what they were all about.
Yeah,
And basically, they had
Skippy.
crews. Yeah, they had
He went
crews.
into the 18th district and they threw him out.
Yeah, well,
I watched one guy. He was panhandling over there on a
Skippy.
turn off,
Yeah, Skippy.
Whatever happened?
and
Is
there was a van that
he's
pulled
still
up,
around.
He's still with us?
and all of a sudden he went over to the van there. I guess he was the group leadership there.
You know, I will not, I will not give anything to any of these guys, but there's a guy up north, and I call him Pakistani Pete, but that's not his name. I talked to him, and his name is Ahmed, and he's from Yemen,
Oh.
and he walks from. Oh God, he probably walks from the lake to maybe Laramie or so, and from the city limits to maybe Belmont, carrying stuff around in a black plastic bag, a couple of them, and he's got I don't know, Rich, have you seen him? He comes when he sees my car at Lucky's, he comes right in, and he's got something for me. Whatever it is, socks, shirts. At Christmas time, he's got all kinds of perfume for men and women, and he's got all this. And he knows I'm a soft touch, and I know him, and I like him, and I thought, here's a guy really working.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
that's-
working.
That's a job, you know.
Yeah.
In the cold weather, the hot weather, and he sits down, he talks, and.
Yeah.
He saw a sore on my nose here one day, and I said, yeah, I know, I'm having trouble. Oh, and he blessed me, and I mean, he's really a character, and all the stuff that he gives me, or that I shouldn't say that he gives me because it costs me
Yeah.
plenty.
You
money.
exchange.
Yeah, he knows I'm a soft touch. I give then to Mercy Home and to other people, and
Yeah.
you know, socks. Oh my God, I got 1 million socks. Where's the socks?
You know, when I worked at City Hall most of my time, and there were people going through City Hall. Nuns used to go in there on a regular basis. You just walk in, and you'd slip them a few bucks, and
Sure.
of course somebody run into the washroom so they couldn't confront them. And there was one guy, I'll never forget it, tall Jewish fella. I never did find his real name, and he used to just sell ties. They were like $2 a piece. He'd walk in, and one of our guys always called him Mr. Murphy, and I know that had to bother him, Not Mr. Murphy, but anyway, they would just, in those days you didn't have security. You didn't have security.
Yeah, there was a guy. Remember the guy that used to go around all the different police facilities? He had the big, like, the old peddler's
Peanuts?
case, and he had pens. And,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff that coppers had.
What are the legalities
you know
right
what,
now?
these guys are working their tail off
Right.
doing that. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
But now, panhandling in and of itself is not illegal, correct? If they interfere with traffic,
Or
or maybe people
What do they call it?
complain for some reason.
rowdy
or-
panhandling, which is almost like a strong arm robbery.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, the other one is sort of funny. I haven't seen it for a long time, but at Target, there used to be one guy in there, and he would go in a washroom, and he'd have his bunch of bags there, whatever it was. He'd go in there and wash up and all that stuff.
Oh,
Well, you see that in
and tie
public
up,
restrooms,
tie up the.
You see that all, but talking any policeman for any area of the city, you can ask them about the local nutcases.
Yeah.
How they're doing, and they all know the nuts. Like
Yeah.
for in the 18th district, they were loaded with nutcases.
Yeah.
They're in one. Just because there's so many of them, but my favorite is the FedEx guy. You ask anybody in 18, how's the FedEx guy doing? This guy has a FedEx uniform. He's got FedEx boxes, and he walks. I mean, like with a purpose. You look at him and you go, wow, here's look at this FedEx guy. He's making a delivery. He has nothing whatsoever to do with Federal Express. Nothing.
Yeah.
He's just a psycho.
Yeah.
Oh, they're around, and the problem is that Rahm Emanuel, he closed up all the mental health facilities in Chicago, and now Ronner's doing the same thing for
It
the
wasn't
state.
just Rahm Emanuel.
Well, yeah.
It was
It's been
way
going on for a
before
long
that.
time.
Yeah, but he
Way before
finished it
that.
off. Yeah, it was being.
You know
closed
what?
up.
And that brings me up to this current events.
Yes.
That we now have this federal investigation of the Chicago Public Schools.
Oh, yeah,
and,
right.
and then there's another federal investigation of something, and it just so happened that these investigations came out right after
After the
Right
election.
after the election.
Isn't
Yeah.
that
It's a strange
something?
coincidence.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wonder how
Isn't
come
that-
that happened. Who would have thought?
Amazing, huh?
Well, now the other scandal is going up. The FBI apparently made a few errors in their prosecution of cases,
No.
Of who?
No.
and I guess a whole
Say this and so.
slew of people are now I say suing, but trying to get their court or convictions overturned.
Oh,
because of the-
Inspector Erskine, how could you do that to us?
yeah, well, it's nothing new in the law enforcement that some corruption gets into.
Well,
the
talking
law
about
enforcement.
prosecution, did you see our state's attorney, Cook County State's Attorney
yeah.
this morning?
Yeah, Anita?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anita?
they're not gonna prosecute small drug cases.
Well, what's
anymore.
new
What's a
about that?
small-
That's been going on for years.
Yeah, what's a small?
They up
What
until
are all those lawyers going to do?
Yeah, right.
They're all going to have to sell their
I'd like
property.
to know the definition.
they'll be selling
of
ties
small.
themselves pretty soon. That's all. Are we time up? Is it time? Is it time?
What's the
It is time
definition
for
Time for
a BREAK.
Why?
Not a spring break either.
You've been listening to Meet the Chicago Historians, and please don't turn that dial.
Upstairs.
Yeah.
I do too.
How are the tires on your vehicle? Do you need motor oil? Or transmission fluid? Or power steering fluid? Or antifreeze? How about the wiper blades? Are they in good, sharp condition? Is the windshield washer fluid in your tank full? How good is your battery? Do you need to replace light bulbs? Well, the place to pick up all these items is at Berkeley Auto Supply at 5237 St. Charles Road in Berkeley, Illinois. Stop in and see Tom, and he will get you any part or supply you might need for your vehicle. He has every tool, part, and supplies you might need from the front bumper to the rear bumper, from the top of the roof to the bottom of your chassis. You can call Tom at 708-544-8350, and they are located at 5237 St. Charles Road in Berkeley, Illinois. Tom's hours are Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and he's even open on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's Berkeley Auto Supply, 5237 St. Charles Road, and he is just east of Wolf Road and west of Mannheim Road, about 2 miles on the south side of the street. Call 708-544-8350 for parts, tools, and supplies. It's Berkeley Auto Supply, 708-544-8350, and he's located at 5237 St. Charles Road in Berkeley, Illinois.
Did we go? Now, back to our discussion.
Okay. We were talking about
Well,
the drug.
Not to interrupt you, but I certainly hope someone else has another good raccoon story.
Oh, no.
The
I mean,
raccoon.
I'd hate to end it with only 17 raccoon stories.
There's always room for one more character.
We're going to start calling this the Raccoon Lodge. Anyway, we were talking about Cook County State's Attorney. Now they're not going to make a big deal about these minor cases. It's nothing new. They've been doing that for years. I mean, if you went over to Branch 25 or Branch 57 and there were these little amounts, they were kicking them out left and right, even faster than they were in traffic court at one time. And then they had what they called the State's Attorney's Second Chance Program, where the one with the minor amount of using would have to go down to like 6 sessions at the Daly Center, and there'd be instructions, and they'd participate in roundtable discussions. I had guys that couldn't put 2 words together, let alone a sentence, so we're going down for these so-called rehab, whatever it was.
Another thing that the proponents of legalizing marijuana say, well, it's a disgrace that in this country people are serving 10 years in jail for having a marijuana cigarette.
Who?
Yeah, right. Well, and I'll tell you what they point to. I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah, who is that? Mr. Bones.
The guys that are in jail for 10 years for 1 stick of marijuana are also serving that term concurrently with strong arm robbery, aggravated assault.
Yeah.
They looked up the records and they saw, and then the copper that charged him says, well, let's throw the marijuana in there too. He had a joint in his pocket, but that's not what he's in jail for 10 years for. He's in jail for
confusing the issues.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, these people know that. They just want to
spin it.
Flux the
old cliche about newspapers is get a good story out, don't bother me with the facts.
Right.
Well, one of my favorite about smoking marijuana, and this is classic with the liberal hypocrisy. I have been in places where, as we all know, a lot of people are extremely anti-smoking. I mean, that's why we got the, you can barely smoke anywhere now except outside.
Right.
So I have been places where someone was smoking and someone went over and said, sir, there's no smoking in here. You have to put that cigarette out. It was I should have prefaced this by saying it was a liberal environment. Mm-hmm. Put that cigarette out. What? Oh, it's a joint. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was a joint. And then someone else will say, hey, tell that guy to put that cigarette out. There's no, I'm sorry.
There's a big difference.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was a joint. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Well, the electric cigarettes now are being illegalized.
Yeah.
Because
I'm not exactly sure what those are or how they work. Some say there's 2
They
different.
say that they're just as, or maybe more so, of a
Habit forming.
habit forming
harmful.
health
Right.
problem
Well, anything
than a regular cigarette.
I don't
and
know.
The kids
I don't know if
are
you
all
guys-
in them because they just go in and buy them.
I don't know if you guys ever remember. Well, I know you remember Bob Newhart, but his routine. I would think it was Sir Walter Raleigh was in the States, and he was calling back to England, telling
Describing-
about this great new thing they've got
Tobacco.
called tobacco. And he would say, so now what do they do? Okay, they take it, they pick it, they scrounge, they crush it up,
Try
they put it in paper, they light it on fire, and then what do? They suck it into their lungs, and you're telling me this is big over there, huh?
He says, hey guys, it's Crazy Wally again on the phone. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow,
Hey, Ken.
we're getting.
They do have some that have water vapor in them.
Yeah.
They're all vapor.
But there are still chemicals.
But you can vaporize just about anything. You
Okay.
Put liquid into an electronic
But
thing,
still,
you can
you're right.
vaporize it.
I seen a woman. It's one of these real strange ones. Looks more like a pipe.
Sure.
And she,
A bubble
she
pipe.
puts back in
Now I see. Here's not to change the subject, but
okay, don't.
the Pontiff Pope Francis has, I heard in the radio today, if this is true, declared that global warming is the biggest issue facing us right now.
Well, he's on track with our president then.
Yeah. I mean,
Is he watching the newspapers over here?
excuse me, your what is he, eminence?
Eminence?
Pontiffship?
No.
I guess he's not speaking ex cathedra there, which means from the chair, because I mean, what all those Christians being butchered and on the beaches and everywhere else, and a few other situations like that. Anyway,
Well, our
He
president
probably
said the same
figures
thing.
that the Red Sea,
And split.
partying and all of that is part of global warming. too.
Well, there is a catch to global warming. The fact is that we've been warming for the last 10,000 years.
well, isn't that what has happened ever since the beginning of the Earth? Periods of warming and cooling, and
Yeah.
Warming and cooling, and nobody ever says anything
well,
about
plus,
that.
what I like is when they point out the fact that our winters are getting colder. You know, the response is, "Well,
That's
that
due to
just
global warming."
proves." No, that just proves.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, global warming is, but things are getting colder, and that proves that global warming is.
Here's the problem.
Okay.
You're talking
You
about.
know what? You bring it all the way down that you don't mess with Mother Nature.
Here's the catch on that. Now, we had a mini ice age that lasted about 400 years that ended around 1900, give or take, a few years. And everybody said the world was going to freeze up at that time, and now all of a sudden everything's going to cook. So you got this cycle that comes through, and there's not enough information to show that it is truly a long-lasting effect.
Well,
It might be just a short-term type of thing.
The Earth has gone extinct, I think, 5 times.
Well,
Yeah.
And humans have had nothing to do with it. So
Right.
Someplace, and it was in
Yeah, you can't
Russia
blame us for the
or
first 5.
up there where it was very, very cold. They dug. I just heard this on the radio the other day. They dug down. The scientists cored down through, feet, yards of ice, and brought this core up, and found out that it just is equal. They could tell winter from summer, and they all look the same.
Yeah.
They all look the same.
Well, like I said, there's a difference. There's a difference over the period of millennia where it changes. Like I said.
It's even less than that. I'll tell you what made me a believer was when the Great Lakes states sued Illinois for taking too much water for Chicago. So you're talking Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, etc. And so, in fact, that's one reason why we have the so-called lock, at the Chicago River in Lake Michigan.
we've got a lock on it.
We got a lock on it.
That's not the only reason, but that's part of it.
But that's part of it. And anyway, in the lawsuit, etc., they found out now that the Great Lakes, they think, are around 10,000 years old. Our records only go back maybe to, around
9,000.
the Chicago fire days or so, or right after the fire, And then they found out every 12 to 15 years is a cycle. Water goes up, water goes down. When the water goes down, then, gee, what's happening there? And then when the water is high, it's washing out the buildings on, they're falling into the lake, etc.
Yeah.
It's a cycle, and you can't change the cycle,
Well, I like in the drought in California. Naturally, the liberals out there are looking for something to blame it on, so they blame fracking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It turned out that fracking uses approximately the same amount of water as 168 Olympic-sized swimming pools,
Yeah.
which would be like if everyone in Southern California decided to drain their pool.
Or their bongs.
But but 80% of water is used for growing vegetables,
Yeah.
and that's a major industry in California.
Yeah.
So if you take the water away from them, of course, I really wouldn't be devastated if I knew avocados and spinach and artichokes
And pistachios.
artichokes were going to.
But they're blaming it on global warming.
Oh, sure.
Well, the other catch on the farming that they use all that water on is they abuse the use of the water. In other words, they use more water than they have to. So they've got records that show that we got the right to the water, so we can do as much damage as we want to, and they do. The water runs right down a sewer.
Well, I think that's sort of prevailing theory in Chicago, too. What's the theory in the fire department? You got a big lake out there. Use it.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah,
take,
no,
take water out of the hydrant.
Another
and-
thing-
And the lake
And we
now
sell it. We
is
sell
coming back up.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
Well, the last 2 years when he froze over the lake for the most part caused the water to rise because he didn't have the vaporization that you usually have with an open lake.
in a geological sense, all this land was really compressed because was there 6 miles of ice over the top at one time in the ice
No,
age?
1 mile.
So now, whatever it is,
Yeah.
don't make a lot of it for 5 miles.
Well, don't
6 miles
forget, don't
sounds
forget
It was
we're about
942 feet.
It's
I know, I
slowly
measured it.
rising. Okay, so it's not going to retain the water. It's not as deep. Is that, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So that would come into play there also.
yeah.
well, we're
I
about 600
suppose.
foot above sea level. This is ocean level. So again, you're counting. You're going downhill from the lakes to the ocean. So
When,
and
when
we're
that
on-
water
we're on
goes
a
down
ridge
the
here.
drains, then it goes into a lake or it goes into somewhere, and then it evaporates and it turns into rain, and then the rain
Comes
I
comes
was
back.
going to say,
and
yeah, I don't.
replaces
You don't.
it.
You don't really.
Yeah.
What's the?
And the green grass grows all around, all around.
well, don't
You
forget.
know, what in physics you never lose anything, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
all
People with
transformed.
all of their versions of.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
Well,
doom!
don't
All the
forget
doom.
now. We live more or less on a ridge right here. Ridgewood Avenue or Ridgeway Avenue.
Yeah.
All right, now going east from there goes into the Chicago River Basin, North Branch of Chicago River Basin. West of here goes into the Des Plaines River. Now both of them go to the. I'm not going to count the reversal of the Chicago River. Both of they went. The Chicago River used to go into Lake Michigan and went out through the St. Lawrence Seaway into Atlantic Ocean. The Des Plaines River goes down to the Illinois River and down to Mississippi and out.
Yeah, it's called
Gulf.
the Continental Divide or
It's
something.
called. Some people call it a subdivide. Some people deny it altogether because of the fact that we reversed the river. Don't count anymore. I said,
No.
well, give me a break. This is the way it was supposed to happen, not what's happening now. And so we live in a unique area here. You know,
what has that got to do with global warming now?
nothing
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Or vice versa.
But the fact is,
And
you're
it's
talking
been
about
going on for
you're
100
talking,
years.
yeah, you're talking about the level of Lake Michigan. Now, this is one of the reasons why.
It was going down for a while, and they were
Yeah, but
all upset about it.
Yeah.
Now it's coming
Now
back
it's
up.
Yeah.
right.
We'll be flooding.
It's in cycles.
I remember
Right.
one year I was going to work. I used to work at 79th on the lake, and they had a big storm, and the lake was not covered with ice, and they have a bunch of houses right next to the old South Shore Country Club,
Oh.
and you looked in there, and they had underground garage there, and there was a couple cars parked there, and they were encased.
The lake used to come up to Lakeshore Drive, and all of those.
Stony Island or something. like that.
yeah.
Stony is
Were there
all those,
Stony
all
Al-
those Jewish houses over there. They used to be right on the lake.
You know
Al-
what? You walk along like Clark Street along Lincoln Park. You step into the lake. There's a
Yeah.
big dip.
Yeah.
You know, that's where the water used to
That's
come
where
up
it
that
used to come
far.
up
You know,
to,
it didn't.
yeah.
It wasn't a big. It didn't come out here, but
One of
Wasn't there
these
talk a
days.
few years ago of re-reversing the flow of the Chicago River?
Yeah,
Bigger
they
than
have
hell,
it.
you know,
Well, right
It-
now
I-
they're trying to
know
purify
why,
the
though.
water more so coming out of
make
the
St. Louis happy.
Stickney waterworks there, because the fact is that it's clean, but it's not drinkable because of the fact there's
And
still
it's not
pathogens
any
in
place
it.
you'd want to be by and smell either in Stickney.
We have a bulletin.
Yeah.
Baseball season has started, and the Blackhawks are in the playoffs. So, anybody have any thoughts on sports here?
Yeah, basketball's still working in it.
Yeah, we still got basketball.
Who's in the playoffs? I don't even know.
The Bulls.
They are.
Yeah.
Then we got
They are.
yeah.
I tell you what, if you're trying on sports, this kid that won the Masters, this Spieth, he looks like he's really a classy kid.
yeah,
Is that the young kid? Yeah, the really
yeah.
young
He's only
kid,
20.
Yeah,
or
he's a
something.
classy kid, and
Yeah.
thank God he's not. I hope he doesn't get spoiled. like some of
A
them.
young kid, young guy. I don't even know.
21
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah.
Another Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Well, talking about golf, one of the classic,
absolute.
absolute classic stories that shows how stupid members of the media are. when
Don't hold back.
when Tiger Woods got in the altercation with his wife, the original report was Tiger Woods he was in an accident on his property, and his
Yeah.
wife, in order to extricate him from the vehicle because he was trapped in the vehicle, ran outside with a golf club and somehow opened the back door to rescue him.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Smashed out the
well,
back window.
now
Yeah,
you gotta
exactly,
Look,
yeah.
You got to look at the story. Okay, first of all, Tiger Woods, who arguably has the greatest hand-eye coordination of anyone on the face of the earth, runs into a tree on his own property
Why not?
or backed into it, and then he's trapped, and his wife grabs a golf club.
Rescues him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, to any normal thinking person would said, something's wrong with that story.
No.
That golf club's expensive.
Yeah.
No, you know what they'd say, Tom? They'd say, was that a number 4 wood or was that a number? What golf club did
I think
he
it was
use?
a 9.
It was a 9. It was a 9 iron.
And it turns out that she whacked him in the face with the club, and he
He's
was trying to
damn-
get he was trying to get away from her.
He's damn lucky that she wasn't a skeet shooter.
So he didn't have any guns.
It's at about the same questionable veracity as Harry Reid getting messed up with the exercise machine. Huh?
Yeah.
It
Or was
turns
it
out
Tiger Woods' wife?
Turns out his brother punched him, right? Isn't that the real story?
Was it?
The latest I heard is his brother was the one that punched him.
Oh,
Harry Reid.
I'm glad somebody did.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody did.
Well, you got to take a look at. You ever watch a news conference, like with the president or something like that, and you got one guy yelling out the question, president answers, then about 2 later, another guy answers the same question.
Yeah, well, that's
You know,
Well, another one of my favorites about
That sounds like the Chicago historians.
about the news media. There was a car that I retired out of a major accident. There was a car that went off the bridge on Damon into the river. The driver got out. The passenger did not get out. Passenger's dead. So the
Chappaquiddick, yeah.
so the driver says that the reason he got out is he got out through the sunroof. So there are all kinds of media people out there. So I'm out there naturally when they're pulling the vehicle out of the river, and the back window is smashed out. So the female reporter, I forget from where, says to me, well, the driver said that he got out through the sunroof. And I said, yeah. I says, that's really great because
There's no
he,
sunroof.
because he managed to escape through the sunroof and then get back into the vehicle and close the sunroof
Yeah.
before he swam to the surface.
Yeah,
And you know what she said? Oh, do you really think? Did he do that?
yeah.
And I said, because there's all coppers standing around, I said, where do they find these people?
Yeah.
I mean, the back window is smashed out, you moron. You think maybe that's how he got out?
Well, the real question is, if you're a driver getting out new cars with the steering wheel and everything else in your way, it's not that easy. It's bad enough to get in and out the normal way, let alone try to crawl out of it. But still, you're right.
Well, did anybody look at the Sun-Times, the Saturday Sun-Times? There were 6 color photos of Kim Bryant. 6 in the same newspaper. Here's a prodigy, and I quote, a prodigy.
Oh,
Baseball cub, yeah. He hasn't played a major league game yet, and
They
he's
trying to jinx him?
He's
You know what I'm saying?
I think so.
Oh my
What
God, they had
what
a
kind of
father
build up
yesterday.
there, and
Yeah.
let the guy start out,
Right.
and
Leave him alone.
in 6
Quiet.
months or 3
Well,
months, he
they have
could
nothing
be
better to
down
do.
in
You're liable to-
Podunk.
Yeah, you're liable to jinx him.
Yeah.
The biggest thing on my mind now is going to politics, in a sense. If Hillary becomes our next president, what will Bill's title be?
Yeah.
Madam
First
President.
man, first gentleman. I mean,
First dude.
I worry about things like this all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
You would worry about
as
that.
the
She might appoint him and make him her Secretary of State.
The dude.
Yeah, just to get rid of him.
There you go.
You send him with some junkets.
Yeah, right.
No, he'd be,
But what were they called?
He's on his own junkets, I can
I'd
tell
rather
you.
not talk about.
No, let's not
Yeah.
talk about
We'll never
Hillary.
get on the restaurants.
Let's go to restaurants. I
go to
agree.
restaurants.
Let's give it a few more minutes of sports here. Come on, come on,
Okay,
come on.
or sports.
Sports.
Sports. How's
So anyway.
Lane Tech gonna do this year?
How's what?
The Lane Tech, their mascot is the Raccoons, isn't it? The Lane Tech Raccoons.
You're gonna be in trouble.
The,
You got- you
what
got
are
ten-
the
you got
Indi- are
10
they still
you
the,
got
are
10,000
they still the
alumni
Indi-
listening to you.
Are they still the Indians?
Yeah.
Didn't anybody
I-
scream that they wanted that changed?
Yeah, I
For
think
some
they're
reason they
still-
haven't.
Yeah, they're still the Indians.
Yeah.
Yeah, why is that? Some people get it. It's like the Blackhawks. Nobody's
Well,
complained about the Blackhawks.
Blackhawks, they pay off.
How about the
Now, the
Cle-
one that's got the problem is the Redskins.
That's bad.
What are the Cincinnati Redskins?
Yeah, it says who decides all
No,
this stuff?
Washington.
Really,
Washington
who,
Redskins.
who is the make these big decisions? The arbiter of, political correctness and what's
Okay, the
harmful,
Red-
and
there
who
is-
does that?
there
Any
is a-
ideas on that? Anybody?
No,
There is a
I-
reason for the Redskin problem. What happened is there was a tribe of Indians that liked to color themselves with
Yes.
red ochre. And consequently, they were red.
Right.
So why is it wrong then to
Yeah,
call them
right.
Redskins?
That's
Because
what
not
they,
all Indians used red ochre to color
Well-
their skin.
that's why they call it Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So why didn't
Jack,
Chief Illini
I
get
don't know.
backlash?
Tom,
Yeah.
nudge him, will you? Wake
Hit
him
me,
up.
will you?
Chief
Somebody.
Illini seems to
That
be
was
the one
John
really-
Ryan.
Now the Cleveland Indians, right?
Yeah,
They were named in honor of a
Alumni,
pitcher
yeah.
they had who was an American Indian. They used to be other names, Spiders and
They were known as the Spider. I didn't know that. What Indian pitcher?
Wahoo
did he
Crawford or something like.
He was an outfielder.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, then it wasn't Wahoo. Who?
Wahoo. Sam Crawford.
Oh.
And he played for Detroit. So
Well, yeah, okay, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Detroit. Oh,
yeah.
well, it's close enough.
Wood Cobb.
Come on.
No. You know what? I always appreciated the Indian logo names. You know, it was an honor to be, and I don't know,
Okay.
I grew up in a, we respected the Indians, I mean, they one of the things they used to draw in the class was a circle because the Indians believed that their God was for everybody. They didn't fence off things. They were nomadic to some extent, not like the back east. They had farms and everything. The Indians we associate with are the Wild West Indians riding horses and chasing
Yeah,
the
they were
cavalry,
nomads. Yeah.
but no, it wasn't.
Or those cliff dwellers. That's like living in tenements somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I was never offended by Notre Dame's mascot, Fighting Irish. I
No.
mean, that's why fighting. I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that
They're all-
derogatory?
yeah, top of that,
why
they're
can't
all
they be
Polish.
the peace loving Irish?
Well, look at the character. He looks like a monkey
Yeah, why
almost.
you got to use a leprechaun?
Yeah, right.
Why do you use a leprechaun? Were all
Right.
Irish guys leprechauns?
Yeah.
Or what?
A little mix.
Yeah, and the other thing,
Like those
Notre Dame
opossums.
really
Opossums.
what's not that Irish of a school. Boston College. I tell people if you want to hate a school for being Irish, hate Boston College. That's still that was
Okay.
the Irish's ancestor to
Okay.
Harvard.
I sent my grandson to USC. Do you know what they're
Trojans.
Trojans?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Greek.
What do you think the Trojans are?
Horses.
What
Trojan
if
horse.
Anybody thinks of a Trojan?
Control.
Greek.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
Actually,
didn't
They
think
wanted
of that.
to change that,
Yeah.
and they had a big
How
to-do
How
about
about
it.
the University of Hawaii? They changed it because of the rainbow.
Oh,
In our
no.
state, yeah.
What happened?
The University of Hawaii's mascot was the rainbow, and
Okay.
since the
Was Jesse
since the
mad at
gay
it?
no the gay community
got the
hijacked the
flag.
rainbow,
Yep.
They did.
and I like rainbows. I mean, really.
Well, got to remember the gay '90s too. That was hijacked too.
The word gay has been ruined. Period. What's gay about folks like that
It
anyway?
is. Yeah.
Don, we now our gay apparel.
Yeah.
Hey, our hearts were young and gay. Remember that song?
Yeah.
Christmas.
But you got to go back to Notre Dame. Most of the football team were Polish.
Yeah,
Not at that time, though. Okay, here's one for you. This Notre Dame, founded by a French order, had, before they were called the Fighting Irish, which was probably a newspaper guy picked up the name, something like that.
That was one of the
They were known as
coaches.
what? Does anyone know?
The who?
What were they called? No, not the Who. That's the group.
The
No, that's
what?
wrong. Wrong, Bill.
The what?
The Ramblers.
The Ramblers.
Yeah. Even
Oh,
in Rocky's
Loyola.
time.
Loyola.
Well, yeah, but Notre Dame was the Ramblers at one time.
Said, I'm a
Oh,
rambling
yeah.
wreck from Georgia Tech. some
Yeah.
connection there.
Right from, yeah, right.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean the Ramblers.
And who was their famous football coach? You know, an Irishman, Knut Rockne from Norway.
Norway. Born there.
Knut.
Yeah, he was born there.
Raised here.
Lived in Chicago.
Yeah.
Knut Rockne.
Knut. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it was.
We have the Blue Demons here too.
Yeah.
Blue
You know how
Diamonds.
why they were called the blue? Excuse me, the Blue Demons, because of the D they wore in their shirts. They said there goes the D men.
Oh, is that true?
That's probably
I don't believe that, Tom. You're sitting too close to Ryan.
The
Yeah.
D-men.
Interesting. Are we ready for a break yet or something here, I hope?
I would think so.
We can
we
start
may-
talking
we're
about
going
We
to
may,
restaurants.
we may have time for one more raccoon story. Just to squeeze one in before the break to keep.
We once again interrupt the proceedings for some messages of interest and importance.
Do you guys know?
Friends, are you looking for a place to have some printing done? Well, I have the right place for you to go, and that is the printing store in Oak Park, Illinois. Call or see Phil Berry at 621 Madison Street in Oak Park, Illinois, or call 708-383-3638. Phil will sit down with you and help you plan whatever you need printed. Now, his products are brochures, booklets, business cards, catalogs, envelopes, letterheads, flyers, invitations, newsletters, notepads, menus, mailers, manuals, labels, posters, postcards, price lists, NCR forms, sell sheets, table tents, pocket folders, and presentation forms. And his services include 1 to 4 color offset printing, digital copying, high-speed copying, graphic designs, typesetting, laminating, foil stamping, die cutting, and imprinting. And he also has a complete bindery service, which includes booklets, cutting, scoring, folding, numbering, padding, and drilling. So once again, for all your printing needs, see or call Phil Berry at the printing store at 621 Madison Street in Oak Park, Illinois, or call 708-383-3638. And once again, they are located at Madison Street and Clarence Avenue, just east of Oak Park Avenue. And it's at 621 Madison Street in Oak Park, or call 708-383-3638 and ask to speak to
Back to our historians. Jack?
Bill?
The other day I was really hungry.
Oh, you went to the
I
restaurant?
was looking for
restaurants.
a restaurant to eat, and Zum Deutscheneck was closed.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
It's been
does
closed for
anybody
about-
know of a place near there that serves German food?
No.
that serves
Irish took over a lot of those places.
Edelweiss down the street.
The
here.
Irish. What? The Irish from
No.
Mexico?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
You
The
know-
Irish took over.
You know, Bill, the only one would be around where Schulian's used to be at 2100 Irving Park. There's a place called Lashette's or something.
Lashette's.
Yeah.
Across
Oh, yeah,
the street.
Reese's is right down the street.
The
from
beer
here, too.
Stuba. Yeah.
Where's Struve?
Yeah, they got good food
Our
in
old,
there.
our old
And there's
place
always the
don't come
Brauhaus.
in. They
How about,
closed that down, and
You
they're
got,
still closed.
you got
up.
Maribel's
Yeah.
on.
So now we go to the Whistlers
Yeah.
Where's
in
that?
Lincolnwood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
That's Germanville? Whistlers?
No, not really.
Oh,
It is.
It's well, a lot of the people there don't eat bacon or ham.
Oh, Bill?
That's
Oh, Bill.
what it is.
How about right here, not far from the studio, on Irving Park Road in Addison, Edelweiss? There's an
Edelweiss.
Edelweiss right here.
Yeah.
You can hit it with a baseball from here.
Yeah.
Well, the Hofbrau they built right by over in Rosemont.
in Rosemont.
that's
Yeah,
a
I've
huge
been
house.
there. That's
Oh,
a
the other guy, the
And the
other
other
one's
is-
Maribel's.
Yeah,
right,
does
that's
Maribel
right.
have German?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
German.
yeah, that's German.
Good, yeah.
The
Got
other
a
is
couple of, still a couple of places in
Actually,
Lincoln.
Bill Brauhaus at 4732
Yeah, that's
Lincoln.
German.
Is it still there?
Actually,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We were just there.
Austrian.
I just thought I'd get us on. I don't want to
Yeah.
get us on.
Oh,
the
get us
subject,
on. Yeah.
the topic.
No, the Brauhaus, didn't WJJG have a German program on at one time on Sundays? And that was one of the advertisers,
It
the Brauhaus. I
could
remember.
be.
Could be. I don't
Yeah.
remember that.
You know
yeah.
what's nice? It's relaxed. You can they play music. You can dance with if you bring a girlfriend along or something, and the German beer and German
Tom
cooking.
wants to know if you can dance if you bring a guy along with
You
you.
can,
right.
yeah, you can,
Or-
Tom, for you can do anything.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
seafood.
And do they serve? The bottom line, do they serve raccoon?
In season.
I bet you they do.
Oh,
You know, I got one more raccoon story.
I got a raccoon story for you.
Save it, will you please?
Oh, thank God.
I came in. I was detailed the 4th Battalion in 35's house, and I came walking in to go to work, and you parked in the back.
Yeah.
Came in the back door, and I walked by the hose tower, and there's 6 raccoons, dead raccoons, laying right by the laying on the floor. And one of the guys came over, and I said, "What in the hell is this?" Oh, he says they belong to so and so. The guy lived out in Wonder Lake or someplace in that, and he roadkill. He just
That's what he told you.
roadkill. And I said, well, what the hell is he going to do with them? Who's cooking?
He's going to
know,
eat 'em, yeah.
Who's cooking today? Count me out. Well, all he wanted to do was skin them, and he had
And make hats.
God, I don't know, so many had.
Yeah,
no,
right.
he had a coat made for his wife, and it was beautiful. I saw it later on. It was a raccoon coat.
I bet she was thrilled.
And
Yeah,
Ken,
right.
Ken
She
Norton
couldn't-
had nothing
She
to do with
couldn't.
it.
She couldn't wait to tell her girlfriends, "Hey, my husband made me a coat out of roadkill."
Yeah, right.
Are
Guess
they,
what?
Are they still married?
No, I was just going to get to that. Guess what? The marriage only lasted another 6 months.
And who got custody of the coat?
Good for the raccoons.
Hey,
that didn't
Tom,
last.
it only
Well,
took,
anyway.
it only
Used to-
took
that used to-
74 skins.
Tom asked about
That used to be
would they serve
popular in
raccoon in the
20s,
place?
raccoon coats.
Only if it came in with its owner, right?
That's right.
And then it's served.
Hey, can I tell a raccoon joke?
Please do.
Okay.
Well, hurry up. We'll get back to the restaurants.
My son, after he came out of the fire academy, they sent him to Truck 56 at Peterson and Pulaski.
There you go.
He's got
Raccoon
2
Village.
years on the job. What's he going to learn up there? Anyway, they had to be. Now this is the firehouse is on property that was part of the TB sanitarium. If you can
I know
picture
my
it.
father was
Okay,
my father was in that sanitarium.
Is that right? Okay, you know. So anyway, so they have to be very, very, very careful of what they do with their garbage, because when at supper time, the animals come and they look in the window, and it's like
They have to
They're-
keep
they're-
the windows closed.
yeah, they're
what they're
looking
serving.
at you rather than you looking at
Yeah.
them in the zoo. So anyway, and the house seemed to be cold, I guess because there were no buildings around it, and he used to take the wind pretty good. So one night he's sleeping and he wakes up and he's got to go to the bathroom. So he's up on the second floor. He walks in the bathroom and there's a raccoon sleeping in the corner. Now how it got up to the second floor of the firehouse? It was a cold night. And all
Staircase.
that. Yeah, he used the steps.
Either that or a ladder.
So, so he said, I look at him, it wakes up, it looks at me. He said, I did my thing, and he said, as I left, the raccoon was putting his head down again. He was going to go back to sleep again.
Very good.
Said how he ever got into the firehouse or got out of the
that
firehouse.
place is their logo is the Raccoon Village.
Is it? Yeah.
Something like that.
And by the way, they have a nature center there, and they have deer, they have all kinds of animals, and it's all free if you want to.
When I was on Squad 11, why we get detailed over there.
Oh, okay.
Mainly because they didn't at that time they didn't have a sounder.
Yeah, right.
And so we get detailed over there because the candidate would have to come by us.
You have to come by us, yeah.
I went over there, and the engineer's name was McDonough.
Yeah, there was a McDonough
Marty
there.
McDonough,
Yeah.
big Irish guy, and I knew him from before when I was in high school. A kid, a friend of my dad's, and I walked upstairs one day, and the window is open, and I looked over, and there's Marty at the window, and he says, "Hey, Billy, come here." He says, "I'm going to do something here," he says, and he's got a 22 rifle.
You're going to start shooting
And
animals.
well, they had pheasants over there,
Oh,
and he took a shot even while I was there. And there, he says, "I got him." He says, Go get him for me now." I looked at him and I said, "Marty, what do I look like, an Irish setter?
Yeah, right.
I'm going to go get your kill?" Well, that was in the morning. In the afternoon,
an order comes out.
no, in the afternoon, I went back up there. I thought maybe he'd still be shooting, and I get a little practice in myself. He's going shh, shh, shh. There's 3 or 4 guys at the window, and he says, "Be quiet now, be quiet. We don't want him to hear us." I says, "Who?" Well, that's when the TB sanitarium was there, and on Pulaski, just south of Peterson, there was a tavern. Of everything is stored in there, but mainly a tavern, and what they did was the guy from the TB sanitarium gave this guy money. The guy goes over and he buys a couple of bottles. whatever it was, and now the guy from the sanitarium goes back in. He had to go back in to his room or whatever in the building, and this guy with the package comes over and he hides it by a bush, and the minute he did that, these guys run downstairs. They run over. They grab the bag and they steal it and come back into the firehouse. And that.
Oh,
Now we're watching, and this is the best part of it. We're watching. A few minutes later, whatever it was, 15 minutes later, here the guy from the sanitarium comes out, and he's looking for his stash,
Yeah.
and it's not there. And it was the funniest thing watching him going around from bush to bush to find out where it is. And you could just see him, the word, I can't use the words here, but you could just see him with his mouth, that this guy took him for the money. No, it was the fireman.
Chief, how long did it take before he figured out the fireman stole it?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't want any part of it.
Do they serve?
Didn't you live
do they
behind
serve?
the place there? At Chicago
Do they serve
Parental?
pheasants anywhere around there in those
The
restaurants?
what?
Restaurants?
The Chicago Parental? No, the Chicago.
Yeah, it was a little school they had behind the sanitarium.
Oh, I
Used
don't
to
know.
there.
I don't know.
Let's look that one
Chicago
up for next
Parental
time.
was at Foster and Central Park. It's where Northeastern is
Yeah.
now. It's not there anymore.
NEIU, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to get on our subject of the old restaurants. Everybody, can we? We're joined by Ron Smolin. Hi, Ron. How you doing?
I'm hiding back here.
Okay, Ron, you have
No raccoon stories.
You have a program. You're joining us, and you're also going to join up with the railroad. You have been with the railroad.
I'll be here Wednesday too.
You will.
Yes,
Good. Glad to hear it. Okay, restaurants. Anybody got any thoughts? You got any thoughts on old restaurants, Ron?
plenty.
Hmm?
Plenty. What musician doesn't?
Oh, that's right. You have the orchestra.
Yeah,
Is it the City Slickers or what do you have? What's the name of your orchestra?
the tin can noisemakers.
No, what is it?
Ron Smolin Orchestra.
Okay. And, okay, restaurant, old restaurant. Any of your favorite old haunts that are no longer around?
There's plenty that's not around here anymore.
Well, go ahead, let's hear one.
Well, how about the old Big Boys? Remember Big Boy?
Mark's Big Boy.
Mark's
That was
Big
a
Boy.
chain.
What was it in Illinois though?
There's Bob's Big Boy.
Bob's Big Boy was California.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
What did they call it here? It was just
Tops.
There's still,
Yes.
yeah, tough. There's still a couple of out in the suburbs where you go up
Is that
east.
the same as Shoney's or no?
No. Big Boys are still around, but not in Illinois.
How about
no, I-
Julian's?
Who?
There's an old restaurant.
Oh
Yeah,
No.
they're,
That's
but
still
they're-
there.
The
they're-
with the magicians.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
changed names though. You know who's still performing there is that Al James, the magician.
The magician
Oh,
at
yeah.
the big bar. Yeah.
It's called Donovan's now, Chief.
right.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they're still in business, but
Yeah.
it's a
Let's hear
different.
another chain, Ron.
Henry's.
Oh, Henry's.
Henry's?
Yeah.
Henry's Hamburgers.
Henry, I remember Henry's, yeah.
Yeah.
They were good. They,
Henry's?
There's still a marquee of Henry's over across from Lane Tech, right
Yes.
by where the bridge starts.
Well, that's going to be there long after Lane's gone.
The building is still there too. It's a used car lot now.
Henry's is the same company that they used to run downtown and near north. They had a chain of medium-priced restaurants were for the working people called O'Connell's restaurants. You remember O'Connell's downtown?
No.
Do you remember those?
I do.
That's where I met my wife, and she was a waitress, so they were feeding me there, and man, that was the best combination.
Yeah.
It was most at Clark and Adams. There was one around the corner. There was one on Rush Street. They were all over the place. And they went out of business shortly thereafter. But they also had a big place in Northbrook called Henry O'Connell's. As it was a big hamburger joint. I remember that. So that was the same company as Henry's.
Yeah,
And they-
Henry's had about the same price as McDonald's had.
They were contemporary of McDonald's, weren't they, Ron?
Yeah, they were just like a McDonald's.
Yeah, but when around the same
very
time they got
similar.
started,
It's
or-
just a little different. I don't know why they went out.
Did you eat them out of house and home, literally?
They also had one
That's
up
why they
on.
went out of business.
That's why they went out of business.
They
Yeah.
also had one up on Higgins and Manheim Road.
Henry's?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't go out of business.
No,
What?
There's one left.
There is?
There's one left. It's in Battle Creek, Michigan, from the original chain of Henry's.
Yeah,
Still
it's,
called Henry's, huh?
it's
Still
too
call
far
Henry's.
to go for
I don't-
takeout.
I don't
Same
know,
sign,
you guys- I
everything.
wasn't raised on hamburgers.
I wasn't either.
We like to go to the Stockyard Inn.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
well,
all
yeah.
yeah.
I was only there
My
once,
father
really.
used to take
I took a girl there, and I was lucky her father paid for it.
place.
Oh, that.
Oh.
At one time, they said that was the best place in the world to get a steak
Yeah.
because of the stockyards, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
drovers used to eat there.
I was just a kid, and I really, when I think of it now, I just didn't appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, as a kid.
I took a girl once time there.
Just once?
Her,
Yeah, just
well,
one.
Her father actually was with her father, and we went and stopped there, and I was lucky he paid for it because I couldn't afford it.
You know,
at the time.
I can never think of the place. It's the crab house out in
Joe's Crab House.
what's it, Wheeling?
Oh,
Oh,
Oh yeah,
that's still going strong, I think.
Oh, what's the name
Bob
of that?
Bob Shin.
Bob
Bob
oh,
Chin.
Bob Shins.
And Bob Chin's
Shins.
daughter runs it now.
Oh, okay.
And she's married to a fireman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he's retired now,
Oh,
but and living in Hawaii. That's how good they're doing.
Oh,
and that.
yeah, how
But
sweet it
that's if
is.
you want seafood and
yeah.
crabs and that. The hell with what's the other place? The Red Lobster.
Here's a Chicago.
Been taken over.
Chicago, they had several around town, very many. Gossage Grills. Do you remember Gossage
I remember
Grills?
the name, yeah.
Remember those?
Were they mainly downtown, I think?
Oh, they were just about every
They were up all over.
every
60
busy, really busy
63rd.
intersection.
Yeah.
Town.
It
No,
was a 24-hour
Yeah.
place.
the one still had the name till recently at 63rd and Kedzie, and it's now a some burritos or something tacos. But it was
Yeah,
always.
It was a good place to go into at about 4:00 in the morning on a Sunday. It was a real.
Is that like White Castle?
Yeah. Well, you know, White Castle. One of the classes that I took at Northwestern Traffic Institute, they had just. This is a long time ago. They had just come out with the new breathalyzer. They called it the intoximeter or whatever.
Yeah.
And the guy that was demonstrating it and singing its praises, I said, well, you know, in the city of Chicago, I said, we have something that's much more accurate than that to
Yeah.
determine intoxication. He goes, well, what's that? I said, well, In the city of Chicago, possession of White Castle hamburgers after midnight is prima facie evidence of being under the influence of alcohol.
Absolutely.
I said, you don't even have to take a breathalyzer. You can just look at
Just look at.
like five double cheese, a ring, a fry, a milkshake, and a orange pop.
Yeah.
That's about 0.24 on the breathalyzer.
Stop it! You're driving me crazy.
I said, as a matter of fact, I had a case exactly like that. The state's attorney said when the case started in Chicago Traffic Court, they said, "Officer, would you like to tell us?" I said, "Sure." I said, "I stopped the defendant westbound on 63rd. After I pulled him over, this was approximately 2:15 a.m. I observed in his car 6 double cheese, a large ring, a large fry, an orange pop, and a milkshake." So the judge says, "All right." He turns to the defense attorney. He said, "Mr. Defense Attorney, would you like to proceed?" And the defense attorney looked at the judge and said, "I got nothing." He says, Clarence Darrow couldn't help this guy. 6 double cheese at 2:15 in the morning. I mean, come on now.
You gotta be sick. What's funny about White Castle, I knew a woman that worked there. And she rented an apartment for my dad. And her husband worked for Marshall Field. She had better retirement benefits from White Castle than he had from Marshall Field.
Yeah, that was a good company to work for.
Yeah.
Well, they're still around.
They're still, yeah.
She had
They started-
$250,000 at that time. This was 30 years ago.
There's still one in Harlem and Ogden. There's one over on the Grange
They're,
Road, Joliet.
they have one at
Harlem, Belmont,
Edison and
Harlem,
Kedzie and Elston
Yeah.
there, and they're remodeling that, and it looks like
They're
it's-
doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
have
they're
a
doing real
photograph of the original White Castle, which at that time was a nickel a burger, something like that.
Yeah.
Kansas City, wasn't it?
The furthest west they go, I think, is Kansas City.
That's where they started.
Yeah, because they're all east of there.
We have a get together once a month. The retired Chicago firemen at the Elks Club in Des Plaines, and right across the street is the first McDonald's.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Actually, it's not, but that's beside the point. But
That's what they advertise. Where,
They
if it's not,
advertise it,
where
yeah.
is it?
actually, McDonald's was they got the name from a guy in
San Diego.
California.
Ray Kroc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He bought them out.
He
Yeah.
bought them out.
But the first
He
franchise
lived
one.
he lived
Yeah.
in Des Plaines.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyways, to go back to White Castle. You know what's unique about White Castle burgers is you notice they got the holes in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know why they did that, don't you?
To ensure
meat
thorough
moist.
cooking.
Ventilate.
Right. They didn't have to flip the burgers.
No.
That's if you ever look at their grill, every burger's touches each other, and they'll cook until they're all done on one side, and then they.
I'm
Take
so
off.
happy that
Mass production.
I can say that I've never had one.
You never had one?
No.
Wow.
Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
We got one for you. I can't believe it.
And you
I
had
know what
one.
I'm bringing the next.
Yeah, right,
show.
yeah.
John laughing.
Bag of sliders.
You had one in.
Never had one either.
You had one in your battalion.
Why wait till the next show? Let's go get
They
some
give you a
now.
long aftertaste.
I think that
It'd be a
they're
pretty
actually
short
better
show,
meat bar than
actually.
some of these other ones, though. I mean, they're small and they're
Well, plus once you get them in your car, the smell stays there. I mean, you cannot.
Takes a long
You
while.
cannot.
That's true.
You cannot get away. You cannot sneak into
So-
them like that. You better eat them there.
Yeah, eat them
Got
in the
Ron, you got
restaurant.
something else?
Yeah, but there's one thing about White Castles.
Oh, no.
There's a marketing guy out there somewhere right now that's got a pretty good bank account. Because if you go past White Castles today, you'll see the drive-through is usually full, maybe a few people inside, maybe a few people sitting inside. Go there on Valentine's Day. They had the idea to change their product on Valentine's Day. In the dining room, they make red lights all over the ceiling,
Tablecloths.
tablecloths, candles,
Waitresses.
waitresses, a maitre d', yes, and you'll be waiting to get
Make
inside.
reservations.
Where
No
is this?
kidding.
What hotel is this at?
Every White Castle on
Castle.
Valentine's Day.
White Castle?
Another
Yes.
Castle on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, there's actually
No thanks. I'm through with Valentine's Day too.
there's
That would be the equivalent of buying your wife a
Raccoon coat.
a coat made out of roadkill.
Hey, I got in trouble with my
what's
wife
the
because of White
connection?
Castle.
Hey, baby, slap that slap that coat on. We're going to White Castle.
The coat's moving.
Actually, there are anniversaries that go on in there, and there's also weddings that go on White Castle.
What's
that's all
what's the connection, Tom? Between is that when they were founded, or
I don't know.
What's that? Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
No, it's
just-
just some marketing.
It's a new
Some
gimmick
tr-
they came up with.
Oh,
Okay, what was that, Ryan? You had something else?
I got in trouble because of White Castle, because every year when my wife was working, for Valentine's Day, I'd show up, I'd give her one White Castle and one rose at her office. So the girls at work heard about this, and they says, "You cheapie, go get her something good." So the next year I take her a Whopper from Burger King and a rose. I got in trouble. Where's my White Castle?
There you go. another
She
you
got
talk,
mad at me.
you talk about marketing. They somehow picked up the derogatory term slider, S-L-I-D-E-R.
Yeah, right.
They turn into S-L-Y, like slider. They even say it in their own advertising now.
Yeah.
So that was a good way to turn that all around.
The home of the slider.
yeah.
The original idea of that was it slid right through you.
Well,
Abs-
we didn't have to
yeah.
describe that one.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
I think we knew that one. Maybe you didn't know, Bill. You haven't had one.
Well, there's a place right
wasn't
not
a
too
baseball
far from the
reference.
first McDonald's, and it's called the Choo Choo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Choo
Yeah, it's
Choo.
down the street.
And it's still there.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that they were trying to sell it and that, but that was quite a place to go into with your kids.
They still have the train delivering
Yes.
the
Yes.
hamburgers,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah.
pretty cool.
There
Yeah.
were a few of those in the city going back maybe 50
Were they?
years
Oh,
ago.
yeah.
in the 50s.
That's the only one
yeah.
I was ever in.
The
Yeah.
There's-
Choo Choo
there's
in
another
the
one.
West, Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one out south. It was in Beverly area.
Yeah, it was Beverly.
Beverly.
I don't remember the name of it.
There's one up in Darien right now, around
Where's that?
75th and Main Street in Darien.
Do they call it the Choo Choo?
They don't call it the choo-choo, they call it something else, but it's
Yeah.
the same thing where the train comes around and brings
yeah.
you food.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no matter how old you are, if you finish your food, the train will come back with a lollipop.
Here's the name, Burger Chef. Anyone remember that?
Burger Chef.
Yes.
I guess.
Burger Chef?
Yeah.
Around for a while.
Out of business.
Now, when
Yeah.
I went on
But
I
still
actually-
here.
Yeah, I actually read your emails, Jack, just so you know. I mean, you send them out, but I read them, and it was
How about,
the listing you put out.
Was it Pizza Hut? They still around?
Oh, Pizza Hut's still around.
Yeah.
They are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's putt to the Pizza Hut. Yeah.
I remember when we used to play softball years ago. Tom and I when we left from somehow it was just you and me wound up there at one of those Pizza Huts on Pulaski, and we had our beer and we had our somehow we come up with this combination of a sausage and anchovy pizza. Well, that reacted rather bad in the system. We never did that one again, did we?
I can still taste it.
Sausage, that should have been something was wrong with us, but never did that one again.
My-
well,
my
that
wife-
was after several beers.
My wife got into this yoga stuff, and she had a couple of people over, and I came from work at the racetrack, and oh, come on and join us. Well, I had just come from, I had some pizza over at the track, and it just didn't sit right, you know. So I went over and I got into the yoga class and that. Well, the first, whatever the hell they call it, of me, you know, squatting down. It just I think it scared those other people. It just I know the dog got out of the way right away too.
You
That
invented
was the end of my yoga.
you invented a new position.
Yes.
Position, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of restaurants that went out of business. Well,
How about Tad's Steakhouse?
Oh yeah,
Remember those?
The $1.09 Steakhouse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Downtown.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, they had two. They had two, right?
Oh, there-
Ronnie's and Tad's.
There were
Yeah,
some
yeah.
good
Randolph.
restaurants downtown.
Well, these weren't.
And several other low-end steakhouses have been gone, like
Yeah.
Ponderosa, Rustler. I have Sizzler and Bonanza. Now they've seen them taken over, like, let's say, medium price range steakhouses like Outback and Longhorn. But the low-end steakhouses, maybe they overdid the tenderizer or something.
Oh man, did they
But
ever?
they're gone. They're gone.
Did you ever hear the story about it was Tad's was on the on State Street?
Randolph.
Yeah,
Oh,
in
yeah,
Randolph.
Randolph.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Cook
Oh,
them
yeah.
in the window.
yeah, they're cooking in the window, and supposedly one of the city hall investigators walking past there, and there's a cat sleeping right next to the boiler, you know.
Yeah.
And the flames are there, and he's snoozing. Walked in, closed the place down. Zip, that's it.
You know, there was a place when I was a kid my folks used to go to on Broadway, right near just north of 83's old house.
Okay, and
On
40.
Gunnison, yeah.
Yeah.
And they had in the front window chicken. That was all they had.
Oh.
And, all of these chickens are roasting on that plate, and that.
Yeah.
That was one of the best
Yeah, I
chickens
don't
I
recall.
ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of
Yeah.
it, and that. And, it was there for quite some time.
Yeah.
Oh,
But that was very, very good chicken, and it
Yeah.
was clean. I remember it's clean as could be.
Yeah.
The place I used to go to all the time, and it was sort of funny, was I think it was a wagon wheel in Norwich. And it seems like every time I was breaking up with a girl, it was the last time I saw her.
That was the
Something with that place or what?
Well, actually, I don't know what happened. I took her there. And after that, we broke up. And but anyway,
She got tired of paying for it.
Yeah, right.
That's what it was.
the understanding I had was it was a little mafia controlled, and
What's
That-
wrong with that?
this was actually Harwood Heights.
Was this wagon wheel west on Irving? I'm trying to.
No, it was in Forest Reserve Drive, right across from Dunning.
Don't recollect that one. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
You spent a lot of time around the Nut House, didn't you?
But the other one was sort of
The Dunning restaurant.
It was sort of strange too. It only lasted about 6 months. There was a building over there in Narragansett and Montrose, and all of a sudden he opened it up and it was called the Mist. And it was like a bar, a big hangout. It was a nightclub. And then one night it burned down, and that was the last I heard
Greek
of it.
Lightning?
Yep, White Lightning.
Greek
Were the
Lightning.
new Wright College campuses, perhaps?
Across the street.
Across the street.
Here's a pair of places.
Where McDonald's is at right now.
Shortly down the road a little bit from Stockyard Inn, David's and the Governor's Table. Remember those? 31st.
Governor's table, yeah.
Very, very good.
I was working
Fun
the
now.
night we burned.
And we're going to go in a second, aren't we?
Burned David's restaurant down. It's a
Oh.
vacant
Is it
lot.
timed?
You were out there with matches?
I was in the fire alarm.
All ready? Ready? A one, a two,
A three.
and it is now break time.
Another break time for message of interest and importance. We will be right back.
Hey friends, do you need an awning over your front, side, or rear door? Or your windows? How about a canopy for your carport? Or a patio cover over your patio so you can enjoy being outside in case of rain in the warm weather? All you have to do is call Awnings and More, and Raphael Bogus will drive over, measure up whatever you need, and go from there. You can call Awnings and More at 773-710-8403 or 847-890-1447. So if you need an awning for your windows or doors, call Raphael Bogus at Awnings and More at 773-710-8403 or 847-890-1447. Raphael also installs hand railings for your front, side, or back steps. You must be safe when you go up and down the steps, especially in bad weather. So for awnings or handrails, call Raphael Bogus at 773-710-8403 or 847-890-1447. Call today for a free estimate. Exhibitors.
Back to our discussion.
Time. And we're in the final. We're about the Was the home stretch or the far turn right now? Would you say the far turn?
Well, yeah, the far turn.
Far turn. Okay, let's hear some more. Anybody got
All right, I got
a chain? Ron, you got another chain for
another
us?
chain.
Oh, but John's got something to tell you about the wagon wheel.
You know, you were talking about the wagon wheel. That was over on Gunnison Avenue, right across the street from Ridgemore, from the country club over there.
Oh, is that where it was? Okay.
Yeah, it was on Gunnison. Let's see, yeah, it was right across the street from the main entrance to the country club over there.
John, might have been that called the Heights at one time?
I think at one time, yes.
I think I know it.
And I also worked with the Norwood Park Fire Department on that fire. I was helping them pull hose and fighting that fire.
We had a wagon wheel.
Pizza joint, though.
Remember that.
And then also you're talking about Ponderosa. Ron is Ron, go ahead. Give what you had to say about.
Well, just a little disclaimer. While it's out of business in Chicago, so you guys don't get in trouble, Ponderosa is still in business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can go into Indiana, into
Michigan.
Wisconsin, Michigan. There's still Ponderosas around. There's just not one right around here.
I seen Hoss on TV the other day.
Ron, do you happen to know maybe why they might have gone out of business in the Chicago area?
This is a rough place, isn't it?
No, I don't.
This is a crowded area.
Yeah.
This is like, remember not that many years ago, the donut place came in here, Krispy Kremes?
Krispy Kreme.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they-
they were in and out.
Yeah. It was,
Another
Winchell's was another donut place that came
There you
out.
go.
franchise that didn't make it here.
Mr.
is big
Donut.
out west is
Jack in the Box?
yeah, right.
Jack in the
Dude,
Box.
Jack in the Box were here.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
They're
you
still
know
around
for a
that,
while.
I don't know
They're big
if
out.
there
They're
are
big in
any-
Vegas. Yeah.
There were a number of them in Chicago. They all gone
One on-
in
one
Chicago.
on Manheim and LaGrange.
Right,
there
you
was.
used to
Yeah,
order,
LaGrange is the one I
used
was
to order
talking about.
into the clown. To go,
Wouldn't
let's
you
go talk to
know
the
Right.
clown.
And that's
uh,
creepy. That's just creepy. I hate
Wouldn't you
clowns.
know that these coppers would know about the donut places?
That's right.
Coffee, it's the
It's
coffee.
the coffee.
The other one was real good. The donut house was Amy Joy.
Oh yeah.
That's about the last one to go out before Duncan's took over everything.
Yeah, it was they used to sponsor a radio program on German radio. I used to listen to it to try to catch up on my German. I'm not very good
Weren't
at
they
it.
on Milwaukee near Tui? I'm thinking that was the main one.
There was one, yeah.
Yeah,
right
that's,
there.
that's gone.
Yeah.
I think they had 3 stores.
You know, most of these we talk about are franchise, but like White Castle does not franchise; they own them, except if in the foreign market, domestically, no. So
Well, I got to throw a shout out to Old Prague Restaurant before we go off. It's 2:30. It's almost 2:30, 2:22. So, so I was reading your email about the Craig's Old Chicago or Lost Chicago, eateries, and I come across Old Prague. I mean, it's not Chicago; it's Cicero, but the next closest
What is this one now?
neighbor. It's Old Prague Restaurant.
On
It
Cermak,
used to be
yeah.
on Cermak Road, 5928.
is that in Cicero or in Berwyn?
Cicero.
In Cicero.
I actually worked there when I
You
was
did?
16. I was a
Yeah.
busboy. And so Steve Latina was the owner at the time. And it's burned down, long since burned down, but just amazing bohemian food.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Oh, yeah,
just...
that place was famous.
Oh, it was amazing. I used
Dill
to get a
sauce, all that
stuffed
stuff,
pork
yeah.
chop that I'd eat for free. I think I gained like 25 pounds in one summer.
Wow.
There, just 'cause you eat
My
there for free.
my grandpa Pelican was Bohemian, and we always, for his birthday, we always used to go to that
Yeah,
place.
Old Prague.
Yeah.
It was,
Mhm,
Steve
yeah.
Latina was the owner.
Yeah.
It's funny. He was always drunk. He was actually the son of the original owner, so he wasn't really involved in the day-to-day activities. But he would come in, and his job would be to hang out at the bar and schmooze people and basically drink all night long, which we didn't care. Being busboys, it was like whenever there was a party upstairs, they'd have all this leftover wine, and when the restaurant closed, all the busboys would head over to the bar, and we'd be drinking all the leftover wine and
Kind of
beer
like
and everything else.
being an altar boy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
John, did you mention the name Pelican?
Yes,
There was a Bohemian place called Pelican on
that's right.
Cermak.
That's right.
I never knew that connection.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There still is a Czech restaurant there.
Klaus.
Klaus.
Klaus is still
We
there.
were in there the other day, and that was sort of wild because they said they got rooms upstairs that used to be bordellos.
Yeah, see, I don't. Again, we get into that, and I don't buy it. I mean, most of
Well,
these
this is
places.
the owner.
Yeah, you know,
We didn't get up there
a
to
lot of
see.
times the family that owned the place lived upstairs in the
Yeah,
restaurant,
it's-
and so people that like to sell tours and write ghost
Yeah,
stories
well,
and
she
stuff like
said-
that are all like, oh, it was a bordello and people were killed upstairs and the place is haunted.
Well,
You know,
well,
just
she didn't
crazy.
say
But-
that,
but,
but
Is
she-
anything like a brothel?
yeah, kind of like
Okay.
But
Plus,
what she
uh,
did say though was that Tony Cermak and Capone used to play cards up there.
oh, that I could believe.
Well,
You know,
plus,
Capone,
was there
yeah,
was there a
Capone
big
was-
market for German hookers? I mean, I can't picture that.
You will take your clothes off. No,
Yeah.
get on your knees.
No, what you just said about the family living there, I'm going to mention the place. A lot of people ask me, do you remember Club El Bianco on 63rd?
Oh, yeah, that was
Now,
famous.
not only we know him, we know Henry Jr., the son of the founder, Henry, who was a fireman.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Henry who?
Bianco.
Bianco.
He was a fireman.
He
Well,
was,
there was
yeah, he
all-
came on the job
Sounds-
in the
He had
in
been
the
a fireman.
late 30s.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got a picture of him.
Yeah,
group
I got a
picture.
picture right
Yeah,
here
that
from
Club
him.
El Bianco, that place was famous. There,
Yeah.
what was it? The 16-course dinner or whatever it was.
Yeah, they had beautiful. It was like they had programs, or menus like anywhere else. They had a doorman.
Yeah.
What about the Venice?
They had
restaurant?
all kinds of like pictures of the famous people who were there.
Oh yeah. Where was it on the south? east corner?
63rd
In
and
Kenzie, right?
just
California.
east of California. a
Oh,
little bit.
okay.
Was it Fairfield or?
Yeah, well, the son left the fire department. He got to be a lieutenant in the bureau, but he left maybe when the father passed away, or you left
Who
to
did?
run the restaurant. Henry.
He was on the fire department.
Yeah.
That's Butch.
Well, I don't know
know
what
that.
his name was, but
No, that's his nickname. I mean,
would he go back to the late 30s? He probably came
No,
on the job around
no, no, no,
37,
no.
39.
No, he's
Well, Butch
he's
was
like class
sec-
of
Butch was
'59
like
from St.
second in
Rita. So.
command of Streets and Sand.
Yeah, that's right. He's retired now.
He's retired.
Yeah.
I tried to get him down here, but he was going out of town this week. We'll have to do it some other time. Because everybody asks, this place, somebody else started his own website with all the memorabilia,
Oh, yeah.
pictures, and
Yeah.
There's a couple of them out there. There's
well,
Forgotten Chicago's one of them.
Well, what happened to El Bianco's is they closed the Southside restaurant.
Yeah.
And they opened up north. And
Skokie.
and it just didn't fly.
no, he came back.
Oh, I got Phil and
And then when it
Myron.
came
say-
back, it was
we
too
ate
late.
at
Myron
Maggiano's
Phil's,
the
that's
other
right.
day.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I think they got a couple of places in that, but that was the place downtown Grand and
Well, right by.
around Weldon or somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then Phil Schmitz. That was
That just closed,
That's
not
just closed
torn
down.
down now.
Yeah.
Is that the Frog Legs place?
Yeah.
In Hammond or Hammond?
In Hammond, yeah.
Yeah, that was behind Lever Brothers.
Perch.
Right.
Lake Perch.
One of my daughters runs the gift certificates for Let Us Entertain You, and she was had to distribute the certificates themselves to all the restaurants. They have 30. Lettuce has 31 restaurants in the near north side
Holy
alone.
Let us entertain you.
North, yeah, Let Us Entertain You, from the river north to about Fullerton, and they only have a couple. They got a couple on Lincoln Park West and a couple around Armitage and Halsted. But most of them, every street, Hubbard, Illinois, Grand. you know.
Oh, he had
They
like
just bought Giordano's.
Flying Frenchman was there.
Is that right? I know they got a connection.
Jake
No, they
Grunts?
just
No.
bought them. They Giordano's had a little problem called they leveraged out some during the before the big bust. They went and got some loans and stuff like that. Anyways, and they went down the tubes. The restaurants were still profitable, but because they
I
they
did. She
leveraged
didn't-
out.
she
Are you
didn't-
saying Giordano's?
Yeah, but the trouble with Giordano's now is they took a lot of the stuff out we liked, so we don't go back there anymore.
Yeah.
By the way, and this is for the Fire Museum of Greater Chicago. I did this once before, and I'm doing it again. Is that anybody out there in the audience, if you eat at Chili's,
Oh, yeah.
please mention the
The
Fire Museum of Chicago, and we get 10%
10%
of
Really?
the
On a
check.
particular day or
Yeah.
any?
No, any day.
Any chilies?
Yeah.
And I haven't figured
Well, I
out
gotta
yet
put that out on the
how
internet.
many months we'll have this, but
Starting now?
it goes. No, it won't start now. This is. I had
20th.
hoped to start in May, June, and July, something like that. during
Yeah, I
the-
never go there.
But
so I
we
don't know.
get 10% of it, and that's their one of their
Nice.
Yeah.
things.
By the way, when I see Jack, one of my favorite restaurants is Lindy's over at Archer and Western and
Yeah.
37th. And I
They
just,
franchise then too, you know.
yeah, but I
It's still
mean,
best to go to the original place, isn't it?
yeah, they hooked up with Gertie's or
Yeah,
something, and
yeah.
they do the. But yeah, I have to laugh. You walk in there, and I'm looking at the menu. A hot dog, $1.89. Of course, it's no fries. And God damn, prices are going up. You know, geez, $1.89 for, you know.
Well,
and-
you can go down here on Harlem Avenue, you get it for $1.
Can you imagine what it costs at Cubs Park or?
Oh,
or-
they were telling me beer,
$8.
beer in
They're
L.A.
they're well aged though.
Now, Giordano's, which you just mentioned before, they started right at 63rd in California
Yeah.
Is that right?
with their big deep dish, and it was,
Yeah,
it's about
Then they franchised out.
the original is at their third location. So
Yeah, there's quite a few around, but because of the fact that leveraged out, they had to go basically bankrupt,
yeah,
and now they decided to go and you get the frozen Giordano
they're crunchier.
pizzas all over the place. So you got about a slew of them. You got Home Run Inn. You got there's two.
Yeah,
Giordano's is in Downers Grove.
Little
and Oak Brook.
Malnati's,
Or Lamont.
Little
Or not
Malnati's,
Lamont,
yeah. I don't care for his stuff.
Chino's East.
Oh,
That's
Lou-
expensive.
Lou
Uno,
was up
due,
in
quattro,
Lincolnwood.
cinco.
Felco's.
You know, it's a
Felco's
great
Pizza's
restaurant.
always been my favorite pizza.
Elwood's.
Chino's East. You got
Elwood's on Lincoln
Buick.
and Costner and you
Is
know.
that Lincolnwood or?
Yeah, it actually stands for Lincolnwood, Elwood's.
Well, we left the Lincoln restaurant
Yeah.
because they closed down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
one of the
every Wednesday
new
we
ones
still
that
meet
go
at the Whistlers now, and we're very satisfied.
Where's Whistler's at? Chief?
It'd be about 3,400 on Devon.
on Devon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
400.
Yeah.
Just north, or I shouldn't say north, just west of Shore
on the
Gallery.
on the city side or the
No, the Lincolnwood side.
Lincolnwood
Okay,
side?
steaks.
Steaks.
George Diamond. Remember we
yeah.
went with some
Yes.
ladies there on
Yeah.
Wabash.
That was a great place.
Is that still? That's probably closed, huh? That's probably.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Closed.
the other one we talked about earlier was Myron and Phil's. That was a great steak place. Which
Skokie.
They're still there. In fact, we go by it when we
I
leave.
thought-
Are they
Whistler.
still there?
The
they had a
building's still there.
fire.
It's closed though.
Yeah.
It's closed. They had a fire.
Supposedly the son or somebody is opening up that place that's been closed at Tui and what is it? The diagonal street
Pulaski.
over there.
Lincoln, I think.
Yeah.
Isn't
No,
Okay,
Tui,
here's another steak place. Jim Sains on Rush Street. Anybody remember that one?
Okay.
it? Just a name.
Remember Mayor's Row downtown? I think on
Yes.
Mayor's Row.
Yeah.
Mayor's Row.
Mayor's-
That's all torn down now.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's long gone.
That-
They had a lot of scandals and
Yeah, that's where they had the wire. and the
Listening
book.
devices.
Yeah.
Oh, is that
clever, huh?
right? Yeah. That was at 127 North Dearborn, which always was a political.
What's that?
Yeah.
127, right across from the Daily.
I know where it is, but-
Yeah.
That's about part of that Block 39 they
Mayor's
knocked
Row,
down.
I'm doing a little
Yeah,
south of that
right.
other one.
Part of Block 39. And,
That big building?
yeah,
Tall?
yeah, it was
We
an
actually
old.
had our union
Right
office
next
in there. We were
to
trying to
the-
organize.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
United Arts Theater.
exactly.
Remember all the Pixley and Ayler's downtown?
Yes.
That's a big chain of
I've got a picture of one of them. Believe it or not, they were on.
Which one is it, Pixley or Ayler?
It
Oh,
was both
the
of
other
them.
one downtown, the big one was Wimpy's.
Wimpy's.
They
Was,
came and
remember
went pretty
Wimpy's.
fast, I
Yeah, they
think,
came
yeah.
and went pretty.
Yeah.
I had Wimpy's at Old Chicago. They
yeah.
had a Wimpy's.
Oh, yeah,
Really?
that didn't last too long
No,
either.
no,
No.
But what a great name for a hamburger.
Yeah,
Chicago.
yeah,
It
exactly.
didn't last.
I
that
think
long.
it started in England.
of course. The only time
I
I
don't
paid
know.
for it was on
Oh, here you
Tuesday,
go.
though.
Well, okay, everybody. North Side, Central and North Avenue, Ferrara Manor. Do you remember that?
Sure. Yeah.
I remember having big
They
banquets
still-
there.
I
A
was
lot
there.
of banquets there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember they had a
A
seat.
lot of after the burial
Yeah, right.
dinners there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
South side
right
of the
close
street.
there, they had a DC-4 restaurant. They put it up on stilts. It lasted, about a year or so?
Oh, that was on. I'll tell you where that was, Al. That was on Cicero at about Adams or so. It was on
Okay,
the west
the
side
same
of the
area,
street.
yeah.
Yeah.
Quick question about Ferrara Manor.
Yeah.
Manor came from it being the old Manor Theater.
Oh,
Where did the
Like you think
Ferrara?
On
Yeah.
North Avenue, yeah.
Yeah, it was an
Wh-
old. It was an old.
Where did the Ferrara come from?
Car?
No, Ferrara Candy Company.
Candy.
Ferrara
Was it?
Candy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ferrara Candy.
Ferrara
yeah.
Candy.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's still around.
Yes.
Another
Yeah.
Chicago
fan.
distinction. They were the largest candy manufacturer, the Chicago area.
We had
Still-
them,
They
didn't we?
still do a lot, but
Yeah,
they
well,
don't.
part of the problem with that
Rock's
was that
closed.
the Congress of the United States, in their infantile wisdom, put a tax on imported sugar because of the fact they wanted to protect the growers here in the United States. So it's cheaper to import candy than it was to import the sugar to make the candy.
Yeah.
So consequently, a lot of that stuff got hurt.
You know,
And,
I'm thinking of
Remember Brock's?
Yeah, Brock's.
And that's gone now. The
Yeah.
whole plant.
We still got
So I think
Mars
the
here.
plants is still there.
Yeah, Mars
Pardon?
is still
Tootsie-
around.
Tootsie Roll?
Mars is still there.
Which is
Tootsie
still
Roll.
privately owned.
The
Yeah.
best candy on earth comes from Mars.
Mars, right?
I'm
Yeah, they started
trying
in
to think
Chicago
of the.
too.
Was it the Empire Room at the
Oh, yeah.
Sherman Hotel?
The Palmer
No,
House.
Palmer House.
Oh, the
Empire Room.
Palmer.
Palmer
Yeah.
House,
What was the one? I'm trying to think.
College Inn?
College Inn was
Yeah.
at the Sherman. Was
The
in the
Sherman,
basement.
That's
Yeah.
something in your
yeah.
skin, ain't
That's
it?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Because I worked there. I go
What's
by
the-
there all
What's
the
the
time.
last remaining thing of the College Inn?
The last remaining thing?
There's still something out there that came from the College Inn.
They used
Soup.
to soup.
Yeah, College Inn soup. It's
Yeah.
still
around?
By the way, your dad worked there for a while.
I did too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No wonder
That's
it
where I met
closed.
him.
Tom
First day,
Deneen. Tom Deneen.
yeah, first day I was on the job, he came up and he was watching what the hell I was doing. He said,
Ron, you got another chain
I'm
for
going
us
to give
or
you a
anything
little
else?
tip.
How about, here was one.
Call the police.
There was a chicken place in the 60s, the Red Barn. Any remember that one?
Oh, yeah. Heard
There
of
was
it.
one
Yeah,
out in Burbank or someplace.
Red Barn?
Yeah, it was also White Barn.
White Fence Farm.
White Fence Farm,
Farm,
yeah. That's
It's
still
still
in
around.
business.
Oh, yeah.
That's still going.
John, didn't you have
No,
your
White Fence
They closed for the
511 Club
after
had
Christmas,
had a
yeah.
dinner there?
Which one?
Yeah, a couple
Yeah.
of months ago at the,
At the main place?
Red Barn,
White Fence Farm.
White Fence Farm.
Well, there's
Yeah.
one not far from me on Harlem Avenue. It's no big thing in there. It's just got a few tables and mostly carryouts.
I always thought that it was just one place.
It was, but now they got about some satellite
Oh,
spots.
the
I
other
used
one
to
is-
work out at Aurora Downs, and just
That's too far
about
to go for
a
anything.
couple of miles from there was a Lincoln Inn,
Oh, yeah.
and I often
Right
wondered
next
if
to
that was
Dalco
any
Chemical. Oh.
relation to the Lincoln Inn in here.
Yeah.
Never found out.
Yeah.
Did anybody mention Cafe Bohemia before?
Yeah, we
We turned
did.
that
Good
as
one.
a game
The
place.
other
yeah.
one is the Red Star Inn.
With the possums.
Red Star. Well, what about Cafe Bohemia?
Yeah,
I want to talk about Cafe Bohemia.
you know where that was? That was across from Union Station.
138 South Clinton.
Yeah,
I'm
Clinton.
looking at it right at the screen. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they featured, as you said, game,
Yeah.
deer
Famous
and
for that.
Oh, the other one is
venison and
Venison,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
Not
talking about
possum.
venison. The other
How
one was
about,
the hot
in
dogs.
in the loop, how about Fritzels?
He had
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you
Lake
go.
and
Red
State.
Star.
Yeah, Lake and
State and State and
We
Lake.
had the Shangri-La across the...
Yeah.
Fritzels, you used to have to wait
Yeah,
to
that
get
Shangri-La.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that
got
was-
to be a real
yeah.
dump before it closed.
What place was that?
Shangri-La.
Really?
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
it
that
wound
was
up as a X-rated movie theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That sounds right.
At least that's what I was told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't oh, you didn't check it yourself?
Little raccoon told you that.
You probably had to official capacity, right?
Yeah.
And I used to hit the big cafeterias downtown, like the Forum.
The Forum, yeah.
That was quite a place.
Yes.
Homemade pastries. And Harding's had a nice cafeteria on Wabash.
The other one I had was Hillman's.
Oh, yeah.
Hillman, yeah. Black cow.
More than just in the basements of Sears. Like
Have a black
Hill-
cow, you know.
Yeah,
I remember
down there.
Okay.
my first time, my first tour downtown on foot with the blowing. I had State and Madison. They used to have State Street Council had a information booth there, and I was. They called me over. They had a real southern couple there. They were looking for the Farm restaurant, and they're looking in there. Listen, they said Farm. I said, "You saying the Forum?" Yeah, the Farm. We're going to the Farm. is, you know.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well,
That was bad fire, right?
yes.
Firemen get killed there?
Yeah,
Two firemen?
we had about 3 firemen killed. I've
yeah,
got
in
some
the
pretty
early
good
70s,
pictures
right?
of it.
Yes,
Yes.
I believe it was. Yeah.
And that ended the forum. And at that time, there were a number of restaurants that were in basements in the downtown area. You know, you'd go downstairs and
We still got the Berghoff.
Cafeteria.
The country
Walgreens.
western place they had
You
down
used
in
to
the
have the
loop
Berghoff
was
in the basement.
Yeah, what was that?
The
I can't remember.
Most people don't believe. They said they never had a.
It was on Randolph and
country and
yeah,
western
no, it was right
place
there.
downtown.
Yeah, it was around.
I said yes, they
Oh,
did.
yeah,
That's
it was
where-
around State and
Remember the
Madison,
chain called Town and Country?
Yep.
Yeah.
Town and Country.
Yeah,
There
they
was
were nice.
one by, I think, North Avenue, just west of the expressway, and then
Yeah, right off. Right.
Yeah.
Ridge and Clark, I believe.
And
yes.
there was also the Edelweiss at one time was downtown.
What was it at Ridge and Clare?
a town and country.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
And
moved
they were-
from there to North
It might have been
Avenue
last
and,
on
Kennedy
like North
or
Avenue and the
Or
Expressway.
North Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just down the block from the Oriental Theater, that's where that country and western bar was, the Sundowner.
The Sundowner, right. They
That's
had
it.
good chili in there.
And Joe Daly and the Sundowners used to play in there.
Oh, that's
Joe
right.
Daly.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, no, Joe Daly was he'd like to play. But the other one was Edelweiss. A lot of people forgot about. And the edifice is still there.
I can
Yeah.
sing that.
Downtown?
Want to hear me sing?
Edelweiss.
No.
let's-
Cherry
no,
beer
no,
Edelweiss, it
wait.
tastes so nice, so nice.
Idle's
Drink
Old
Edelweiss.
Heidelberg.
Oh, Heidelberg. I'm
I
sorry.
think there was a
Good
Ted
old
Steakhouse in
Edelweiss
there
food.
after a while, but that was a big German place downtown.
Yeah,
Idle's Old Heidelberg.
That came
Never
from
made it
the
there.
1893 World's Fair.
What did?
You know,
And,
one
and
of-
they kept the design, even
Yeah,
though
they
building.
moved
I
it
thought it came from
downtown.
the 33.
Maybe it was.
I thought
Yeah, it wasn't from
33.
1893. The only thing
And-
left over from
and
that
it-
was
it-
the
it
Yeah, you're
looked
right.
the
like-
German
33.
building was
Yeah.
the restaurant in Jackson Park for a while.
You know what? And you mentioned was it Old Prague or something?
Prague, yeah.
They originally were on 18th and Loomis and Blue Island, and
Were they
their
really?
yes, and their building is still there. And
No.
Yes, it's on the south
Yeah.
northwest corner, and had a canopy on it, and it said. After they were, I don't know when they moved out, but they might have been there up until maybe the end of World War II or something like that.
I was going to say they were in Chicago. Well, the photo here was from the
Yeah,
50s. And
Here you go.
Well, the other one that was sort of interesting, across the street from Heidelberg, they had a girl on a swing.
Oh, flows.
Flows.
Flows on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Randolph.
I saw that once. That was sort of interesting.
That was at Lincoln Avenue, Heidelberger Foss.
No. This was.
Well, that was one of the
They
German
had
places.
that-
long
That
Yeah.
was a German restaurant.
I was 4300 on Lincoln. I was there once or twice,
Yeah,
and we
that
had a
was-
couple of.
Yeah.
That was great.
The old
Robin Stuba and Matt Eigler's all
Yeah.
along Lincoln
Oh, yeah,
Avenue.
I bet
Oh,
Eigler's
German
there.
place,
Yeah.
Okay, good Germans. We haven't mentioned the Berghoff.
the Burgo.
Yeah,
Berghoff, they
that
closed
was
and
sort of a
reopened and
strange one there.
had to make their
That
own
was a
beer.
little deceptive, I thought, the way
They
they
still make
announced
their
their
own.
There was a
closing.
picture of the owner getting the first license after Prohibition. Remember
Yeah,
that?
It's still framed there. But
What's
they,
that?
they originally came out of 1893 World's
I
Fair,
think so.
and they moved on the. They were on
On Adams.
Adams,
yeah.
yeah.
But they were around the corner originally, and then they
Didn't know
moved
that.
over to the present location.
Yeah, just east of, between State and Dearborn, I guess,
Right.
south side.
He
South
kept women out of his bar until the 1970s.
Yeah, then they had standing only.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So no
you
women.
had no women and standing only for the bar.
And it was a strange deal. You paid the waiter. The waiter, he gave you the bill, and you paid him.
That's
and then He
right.
would eventually, square up with the cashier. So.
Is O'Brien still in business yet downtown?
Who, O'Brien?
Wasn't it O'Brien's or
On
something?
Wells?
I don't know. I know Joe Gentile used to go there all the time
that's
to
on,
eat.
It's on Wells.
Well, the other
You
one.
know, Father Brandt, the police chaplain, and I and his
we
parents
hit all
went
the bars.
to the Carousel a play at the Opera House, and we ended up, after the play, at Stocks and Blondes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Under
my
under the
God,
tracks.
oh my God, it was
Is that by
jam-packed.
the Washington block?
I
thought
never
that
heard
there's
of
a
it
place
before,
called
but
I never
No.
knew
Stocks
that.
and
yeah,
Blondes.
Stocks
Yeah,
and
it's on-
Blondes.
it's on
They were all
Wells.
people from
Yeah,
the
Wells
right
from
under
the
the
board there.
tracks.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to
Well,
research that building.
the other one
That's
was pretty
an old
wild. It
building
was
there.
old Stevens Bierstube.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody ever go there?
No, and I grew up 2 blocks away and never went
What
there.
was the name of the brewery down there that we used to go to all the time?
Siebens.
Yeah, that's what I
yeah.
said,
Yeah.
Bierstube.
Beer, yeah.
And I used to go in there. It's the same thing. Women were not allowed at the bar.
That was a
Is that
fireman's
right?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, I
so-
never.
That
You
was-
know, the best,
The good old
the
days,
best
right?
we were kids. We
restaurant
used to run all over the
on
place.
the north
That was a
side
big
is
place.
still Lucky's at 34 on Lincoln Avenue. On on Milwaukee Avenue, right at Milwaukee and Sunnyside.
Oh,
And,
yeah, I go by there. I've never been there.
That's
but-
that's the best place. In
Lucky
town.
Grill.
How
you
about,
can, you can really go in there and get, yeah.
How about
I
Shea
hope,
Paul?
I hope now. I'm there all the time. I hope now that they listen to this.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, they give you a
maybe
discount. Yeah.
Something will be free.
Shea Paul? Shea Paul, remember? Isn't that in
The Blues
Blues
Brothers.
Brothers? Is that still there? I don't know.
No,
No, just
How
closed.
about Challer's Pump?
There
Right
you
across
go.
from the.
Yeah.
Shellers.
I remember when they decided,
Still there.
again talking about the stupidity of the media,
they decided to have a interview in there after one election.
Oh, no.
Yeah, at Shallers. It's all the
He says,
local Shallers.
excuse me, are you a city worker?
Yeah.
No, I'm an astronaut, the guy says. Real straight face. Oh, by the way, it's called the Pump because they had a direct line from the brewery that used to be next door.
Oh, is that
which
what it was?
Nectar Premium.
Nectar Premium, yeah.
remember Nectar Premium?
That's right. I forgot about that, Tom. But the Sergeants Union used to be right across the street. They had their
pump there too?
Yeah.
they had their office there, and I used to meet a couple of the guys at Shallers. And
It's
I
still-
forgot
it's still
about
fa-
that.
It's still family
But
owned.
it's still
Yeah.
family owned.
In fact, they had a story about him and the one
He's
of the
92 or
flags
something. He goes
Yeah,
every
he's
night.
right.
Yeah,
90.
Jack.
Yeah.
Jack.
Yeah.
And in closing,
the
let's.
guy's name on 29, Walkin' Joe or. what the heck do they-
Pakistani Pete.
I know who you mean. The guy used to walk all over the
Walk
place.
They call him Walk. And that used to be his spot.
I
yeah.
thought he was down
The
on
other
Engine 8 or
place-
something
No,
like
he's
that.
on
No,
29.
29.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
other place I used to like is Deutschnick.
Oh, yeah.
Now, guys,
I
that-
mentioned that before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it, was Char-
that-
it used to be
I
Charlie
missed
Weber's
that.
place.
But what
Probably.
were the other places down there along?
Schwabenstube,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Matt
couple of them
Eigler's, the home of the
closed.
singing.
Matt Eigler's was probably the most famous,
Yeah,
and
I
then
took a
they're
girl
they're
there once,
gone.
and shortly after it closed.
Well, like Bill said, because she got
Chandler
tired
was
of
like those girls all over
If
the
a
place.
restaurant sees you walking with a woman, they just better
Yeah, right.
shot because
That
it's
was
right.
bad news.
hey, guys,
Yeah, Berghoff and
how about the Como Inn?
That's the
Yes.
one I was thinking
Oh, yeah.
of.
Those
down
are
in
Yeah.
Como Inn.
Did you
Yeah,
play
that
there,
was
Ron, at the
another-
Como Inn?
yes.
Yeah, Ron used to play at the Como Inn.
Oh yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Hey, don't forget Woolworths.
Halstead and what was it?
Oh, yeah.
Snack bars and
Como Inn
Woolworths.
was on Ohio, west of Milwaukee,
Well,
right alongside the
Woolworth and,
expressway.
and Krusky's.
Friskies.
I was there once, I think.
That was a place for all the mooners, right, Ron?
One downtown place that seems to have been holding on forever is Miller Steakhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's still there, though.
Yeah, that's
Long history
Another,
there.
there's another place
That's
down the
still
street from
popular.
I forgot. Another restaurant, I forgot what it is. And of course, Central Camera's been there forever, too.
That's not a restaurant.
You
That's
know,
right. Yeah, you're
yeah.
right. You're right.
We're
you're right.
we're talking about all these places that make money and have fancy names, but the best restaurants and the best place to eat in this city,
Uh-uh.
any firehouse.
Yeah,
We had the best cooks.
yeah, right.
We had oh boy, it was
Open
like-
24 hours a
all-
day.
That's why all the
Soup for
firemen
the
were fat.
mooners.
Yeah,
Soup for the mooners was always the, but we had some absolutely great cooks.
yes, yeah,
and,
and still
and
do.
now people know it, and now they have the chili cook-offs. And,
Yeah.
and they have all of
There's a
these
story with
different,
that.
Oh yeah,
The other one,
Remember-
of course, if you want to go for politicians, always go to Manny's restaurant over there on Roosevelt
Roosevelt,
Road.
yeah,
yeah.
Are these meals sort of potluck bill at the fire stations? Guys would bring in.
No, no.
You have a cook doing everything.
Yeah, they had
One
a
guy
cook.
would be a
Whoa.
cook, and
You remember the guy that was the engineer at 56? This guy used to bake bread. He used
Yeah.
to
Rich Bonafoy.
Rich Bonafoy.
Yes, sir.
yeah.
And he'd make pies and and the other thing is he drove. When they get a run, you better hang on because
I got one long gone. It was for the younger set, and we were there on some of our outings as from the Explorers. On 87th and
Long Gone was it?
Long
Chinese
Gone.
87th and Western.
no 87th and Loomis, Melody Lane. The
Oh.
place was hit by the tornado.
The ice cream place.
The hamburgers and stuff too, but it was known for
87.
them.
No, I don't recall.
Well, it was hit by a tornado, and they had what they called. They'd serve you a tornado. It was like a huge, it was huge ice cream and everything. The sparklers.
It'd serve
people-
about
Oh.
12 people.
Yeah, you'd order it. They'd hit the sirens and they bring it in. And
Oh.
they just closed down for repair, and I was going to take I was dating my wife the second or third time, and it was closed, went somewhere else, and they never reopened.
Never
so she missed that
reopened.
one.
Remember
Are we-
Mickleberry's on the south side?
Oh, yeah.
95th and Western. That
Are
was-
we almost?
No,
there?
they were.
Wait a minute.
The
Oh, before we
explosion
go,
was 49th place in
on
Halsted.
behalf of Ron Smolin,
I'm
Tom
getting
McKenna,
hungry.
Yeah.
Al Lopez. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Ken Little, our announcer Rich Lang,
Slang? Yeah.
newcomer. What's your name, sir?
Me. Me.
Ray Johnson.
Ray Johnson.
Bill King Kong Kugelman, and myself, Jack Ryan, and our producer, creator, John DeVilla.
And raccoons everywhere.
We'll be back next time, and thanks for listening. We all hope you enjoyed it half as much as we did. And remember,
History.
That history is much more than a book you keep on the shelf.
Right. Yeah.
You got to go out and make it.
Let's go eat.
Yeah.
We wish to thank Kevin of Jack FM, WRHS 89.7 FM, for broadcasting our shows over the Ridgewood Radio Network. Recordings of previous Meet the Chicago Historians programs are available for your listening pleasure via the internet at www.windycityhometown.com. We want to thank the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, John Secanda. On behalf of everyone associated with our Historians program, thank you for listening. This is your announcer, Rich Lang. So long until next time.
You have been listening to Meet the Chicago Historians from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Monday, April the 20th, the year 2015. This broadcast was produced by Jack Ryan, directed by John DeVita, and a special thanks to Mr. John Secanda, the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network. Until next time, friends, be safe, and thanks for listening.